You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1424. 1424 Chapter 329, The Future 5. Zhao Li did not say a word. He gently stroked the blade. The style of the blade, coupled with these words. He knew who had returned. That kid had returned. So fast. In less than half a year, that kid had actually returned. Cui Lang. He wanted to laugh. With a straight face, he tried hard to suppress his laughter. He opened his mouth and said, "Forget it, it's barely passable. He's also from Daming Prefecture. Let that fellow come and meet me. What rubbish thing did he make? There are too many mistakes. Otherwise, he would have long entered the middle level of the profound rank. Of course, he's slightly stronger than you. You, if you don't enter the peak of the profound rank, hurry up and get lost with me. Don't say that he's my disciple." His disciple was overjoyed. His master had finally met someone. As for his master's scolding, he pretended not to have heard it. He hurriedly said, "All right, I'll inform him to come and meet you right away. Teacher, please wait a moment, I'll be back right away. Hurry up and go." The anxious disciple did not pay much attention to these words. If he had thought deeply about it, his teacher would not have asked him to go so quickly. There was no need to be so anxious. With Zhao Li's personality, even if Invincible was here, he might not care too much. The disciple left in a hurry. Zhao Li smiled and soon, his smile disappeared. He turned around and returned to the research institute. This brat, is this a weapon forged by him? Truly formidable. A Xian-grade weapon. This forging technique is really not bad. I knew I didn't misjudge him. How much time does that brat have to learn weapon forging? In the end, he casually learned it and was close to the middle level of the mystic rank. If he kept learning from me, he might even become an earth rank. Perhaps the next heaven rank weapon forging master in the human realm would be this kid. What a pity. Why learn so many divine runes? Sigh. I sighed and felt a little regretful. In the past, I should have insisted on taking him in. What by Feng? I slapped him to death and let him snatch his students. Now, I've dragged Suyu into this huge quagmire. So many divine inscriptions. Humph. It's only a matter of time before they become extinct. Given the current situation, if outsiders can't understand it, how could he not understand it? It's only a matter of time before it's over. Whatever divine inscriptions Academy Hongtan wants to open, something will happen sooner or later. Suyu, this brat, has returned at this moment. He frowned. He returned too early and shouldn't have returned so early. However, it's still all right. If he were to return in another year, he might not even be able to see Hongtan and the others. As Zhao Li thought about this, he smiled and bared his teeth. It was good that he had returned. At the same time, it seemed like it was Suyu's first time entering the Great Xia Civilization Academy. He was a little curious. He smiled and said, "Senior Brother Wang, I heard that there are some students from the myriad races in Great Xia. Why haven't I seen them?" Senior Brother Wang, Zhao Li's disciple, smiled and said, "Usually, they are active in the myriad races academy. They are not in the same region as us." "Oh." Suyu said regretfully, "That's such a pity." As he spoke, he walked along the familiar path. On the way, he saw some familiar faces. In the distance, he even saw Lin Yao, who was walking with his head lowered. Suyu had a faint smile on his face. "I'm back. After half a year, I've returned to this place once again. Unfortunately, I'm no longer Suyu. I'm Cui Lang. I'm a black rank weapon forging master. I'm a genius weapon forging master who came to visit Zhao Li, and I'm no longer Suyu from the Great Xia Mansion's Institute of Civilization. Looking at the Cultivation Heart Pavilion in the distance, Suyu smiled. Was the mansion master who liked to supervise the institute still doing so this time? Would he be able to discover my identity? With a smile, Suyu followed Zhao Li's disciple forward. At this moment, in the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, a person appeared in front of Wan Tiansheng. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it, but the moment Suyu stepped into the academy, Wan Tiansheng let out a light laugh. What are you doing back at this moment? You hid it well. Unfortunately, you forgot that I left you something in the past. If you weren't careful, you really didn't pay much attention to it. Too bad, how could you hide it from me? The moment Feng Qi was brought back, when Chen Yong was about to be labeled as a traitor, and when Hong Tan was about to open the Multi-God Literature Academy, why did you come back? Was he at the 9th level of the Soaring Heavens realm? The next moment, he was slightly stunned. He was at the 9th level of the Soaring Heavens realm. Ling Yun. Zhan Shanhai. Which level was Ling Yun at? He didn't care. He was at the Ling Yun realm anyway. Wan Tiansheng was in a daze for a moment. How long did I see the future? I spent 100 years of my life to see him battling mountains and seas, but did I see what level he was at? I saw him. When did he battle mountains and seas? He seemed to be about to reach Ling Yun. At this moment, Wan Tiansheng instantly sat up. His gaze changed. After spending 100 years of his life, he felt that he had at least seen what would happen 10 years later, or even 20 years later. But now, Suyu had arrived. He seemed to be about to enter the Ling Yun realm. Wan Tiansheng sat up and quickly stood up. Then, he looked into the distance. At this moment, there were a few extremely powerful auras coming over. Of course, ordinary people wouldn't be able to sense them, but he knew that an invincible person would arrive very soon. Invincible. Ling Yun. Mountains and seas. He was in a daze for a moment. The Great Xia Civilization Academy. Suyu had seen a sea of blood and a mountain of corpses. He had also spied on them before. The Great Xia Civilization Academy. The Great Xia Civilization Academy. Wan Tiansheng walked to the window and looked down at the academy and Suyu. His gaze had completely changed. After a long while, he uttered the word F***ck. Could it be that what I saw was something that happened recently? F***ck. I spent 100 years, and you're telling me that what I saw was something that was going to happen recently. How long has it been? In other words, 100 years could be seen for half a year and a year. No way. Wan Tiansheng's expression changed again and again. I felt that everything was out of my control. No way. Why would there be a huge change at this time? I'm not ready yet. Just how long will it be? You brat. Jinx. I felt helpless. I'm starting to doubt my life now. Is it really this time? This time, Invincible is here as well. P.S. I'm dizzy. Please count the votes. There's no need to argue about the plot now. The show is starting. The future will gradually appear. The main character will come out of seclusion. Wherever he goes, there will definitely be earth-shattering changes. Don't compete with Gao Wu. There's no need. Gao Wu was a desperate survival. The 10,000 clans insisted on competing with Gao Wu. It could be seen as Gao Wu and Zhang Tao suppressing the current generation. Suyu of the 10,000 clans could be compared to Zhang Tao, not to mention Fang Ping. There was no comparison at all. In addition, I'm really dizzy. I'll see if I need to ask for leave tomorrow. I've vomited my code. Maybe I've smoked too much, and I can't take it anymore. My body is getting worse year by year. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1425. 1425 Chapter 330, I Want to Forge Soldiers 1. Su Yu continued to follow Zhao Li's disciple. He didn't bother about the others, nor did he go to see Hong Tan and the others at this moment. At this moment, they were the focus of attention, and many people were probably paying attention to them. After walking for a while, they arrived at Zhao Li's research institute. Seeing the familiar research institute, Su Yu was slightly absent-minded, and he instantly recovered. In front of him, Senior Brother Wang, who was leading the way, smiled and said, "Brother Cui, this is my teacher's research institute." Teacher saw Brother Cui's work today and greatly admired it. Su Yu smiled and said, "Senior Brother Wang, didn't Master Zhao say that it's trash? Is it an assembly line product?" Senior Brother Wang was a little embarrassed. "You know my teacher's personality. Alright, I'll cover for him for nothing." Just as the two of them were speaking, the door to the research institute opened. Zhao Li glanced at Su Yu, who had changed his appearance. He said calmly, "It's average. For someone your age, it's not considered trash. If it were an old weapon forging division, it would indeed be trash among trash." "Teacher." Senior Brother Wang bowed. Su Yu took a deep breath and said with a smile, "Greetings, Master Zhao." Zhao Li opened the door and turned around to enter the house. As he entered, he said, "Come in." Su Yu and Senior Brother Wang walked in together. A familiar courtyard, a familiar environment. Compared to the research institute of the Daming Mansion, Zhao Li's research institute was like a piece of junk. But here, there was a lot more intimacy. After passing the courtyard, the living area of the research institute, the sofa in the living room, was as shabby as ever. It was unknown how many years it had been since it was changed. Zhao Li entered the room. Without waiting for Su Yu and his student to speak, he went straight to the underground hall and said indifferently, "Come, follow me to the weapon forging room. Let's forge a weapon for me to see how good you are." His student was very helpless. His teacher did not understand the ways of the world at all. He had just arrived and you might not even know his name, yet you wanted him to forge a weapon for you to see. This was a taboo in the industry. If you met a narrow-minded person, you would think that you were coveting other people's weapon forging techniques. Su Yu did not have any objections. He smiled and said, "Then it's better to be respectful. I also want Master to give me some pointers." The three of them moved forward and soon arrived at the incomparably spacious hall underground. Zhao Li waved his hand and a furnace rose. Su Yu smiled and said, "I don't need the earth fire. I have the divine inscription of weapon forging. I can forge my own weapons." Zhao Li nodded slightly. Su Yu did not have it in the past. It seemed that he had drawn the outline after going to Daming Manor. He turned his head to look at his disciple and asked in surprise, "Why are you still here?" That Senior Brother Wang had a look of shock on his face. "If I'm not here, where am I going? Get out. You want to pry into other people's weapon forging techniques? Do you think that my Zhao family's weapon forging techniques are inferior to Daming Manor's?" Senior Brother Wang was completely speechless. I have nothing to say. This teacher of mine is too double-standard. I can't say it." With a tinge of helplessness, Senior Brother Wang cupped his hands towards Su Yu and said, "Brother Cui, I'll take my leave first. You and my teacher can have a good exchange." Su Yu also cupped his hands and said with a smile, "I'll have to trouble Senior Brother." "You're welcome." Senior Brother Wang turned his head 3 times with each step and slowly left. Actually, he still wanted to see Cui Lang's weapon forging techniques. Unfortunately, his teacher didn't want him to be in the way. Seriously, it's not like I don't know the Great Ming Mansion's weapon forging techniques. After Senior Brother Wang left, Zhao Li glanced at Su Yu and didn't expose his identity. He said indifferently, "Hurry up, let me see your weapon forging techniques. Su Yu smiled and said, Teacher, don't be anxious. My weapon forging techniques are very powerful. After saying that, he casually waved his hand and a large amount of materials appeared underground. In the next moment, the 5 elements divine runes appeared. Zhao Li's eyes moved slightly and the water and fire divine runes erupted. The materials underground flew up into the air. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu's water and fire divine runes extracted the essence of each of the materials and turned them into liquid. A hammer appeared in Su Yu's hand. The 5 elements divine runes fused together and the hammer began to rapidly strike the materials that had been extracted. The rhythm was very strong. The current Su Yu was far too different from the past. In a month at the 100-Path Pavilion, he had forged weapons hundreds of times. Even people like Zhao Li did not forge weapons every day, so they did not waste so many materials. Under normal circumstances, weapons would be forged once every 3 to 5 days, and they still needed to recover. In a year, those who could forge weapons 100 times were considered extremely hardworking weapon forging divisions that wanted to earn money again. At this moment, Su Yu's weapon forging skills were not inferior to some weapon forging divisions that he had studied for many years. Zhao Li stood at the side and watched silently. He had improved a lot. In the past, when Su Yu was in the Great Xia Manor, he did not have the time to learn weapon forging. Not to mention weapon forging, he was not even familiar with extracting materials. The sound of the hammer was extremely rhythmic. The essence of the materials was integrated into Su Yu. Hammer after hammer, the heaven casting technique and the Zhao clan's weapon casting technique were combined. Su Yu began to concentrate on forging weapons, and Zhao Li also watched silently. The two of them didn't say anything. Dang dang dang. With one sound after another, a golden inscription began to appear on the small knife that was gradually taking shape. Su Yu didn't panic, nor was he impatient. He hammered again and again. His willpower was constantly being consumed as the divine inscription was refined. The divine charm on the small knife was constantly flowing. The 5 elements refinement technique. 1, 2. Gradually, more and more golden inscriptions appeared. As for Su Yu, sweat gradually appeared on his forehead as his willpower was rapidly being consumed. Zhao Li watched for a while. At this moment, he suddenly frowned and said, "It's too rigid. The temperature is constant. It's like a machine without a soul. Adjust it and cast it to 36 golden inscriptions. Increase the temperature by 30% and refine it fiercely." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1426. 1426 Chapter 330, I want to forge soldiers too. Su Yu didn't say anything, but he still followed Zhao Li's instructions. When he forged the 36 golden patterns, he increased the heat. Wood makes fire, wood is wood, light the fire. Su Yu continued to do as he was told. Wind, are there any wind-type divine runes? Yes. Su Yu encouraged him. Zhao Li glanced at him and cursed in his heart. F***ck, there are all kinds of divine runes. This kid left not long ago, so why did he outline so many divine runes? Golden word divine inscription polishing. Su Yu did as he was told. At this moment, Wen Bing had already forged 40 divine inscriptions. Zhao Li continuously instructed him to make some changes. There was a slight difference between the forging method of the Daming Manor, so Su Yu completely obeyed. After another hour, Zhao Li shouted, "Spirit expanding hammer strike, don't stop. Hammer with all your strength. The more, the better. Let's see how long you can last." Yes. At this time, there were 45 golden patterns on the civil soldiers. It was the limit of a low-grade profound rank civil soldier. Su Yu began to pick up the big hammer and hammer crazily. He was sweating profusely. His white robe was instantly soaked. There was no image at all. His short hair floated in the air. Sweat dripped down like rain. His hair was stuck on his forehead. Su Yu did not bother to comb it. Zhao Li watched silently. 1 hammer, 2 hammers. Gradually, 46 golden patterns were about to appear. However, in the next moment, Su Yu's hammer smashed down, and the golden patterns distorted a little. Zhao Li frowned and directly struck out, sending the literary soldier flying. He shouted, "Trash! Start again. Teacher! Hurry up!" Zhao Li shouted, "The golden patterns are distorted. You can still create 46 golden patterns, but this kind of literary soldier is trash, trash. When a civilized master uses it, it may be fine normally, but once the battle starts, it may break halfway and die an unnatural death. Will you bear the responsibility? On the first day you came to the class, I told you not to use inferior weapons as a substitute for good. This is what a garbage weapon forging master would do. If you think you are trash, then continue forging." Su Yu was helpless. Trash. That was a low-grade profound rank top-grade literary soldier after all. It was almost a mid-grade profound rank. Forget it, then continue forging. This time, Su Yu was fully focused. The consumption of willpower was still very large. From start to finish, he had already forged for close to 3 hours. This duration had already surpassed some Ling Yun realm powerhouses. However, Su Yu recovered quickly. On Zhao Li's side, he did not know when he lit a stick of incense. When this thing burned, it actually had the effect of helping Su Yu recover his willpower. Zhao Li did not say anything and continued to watch silently. However, he was even more moved in his heart. Genius! He was really a genius, a good seedling for a weapon forging master. This kid was focused on forging weapons. 3 to 5 years later, he would definitely be an Earth-grade weapon forging master. What a pity. This time, Su Yu's forging was even smoother. Ignition, extraction, water refinement, gold refinement. 2 hours later, Su Yu's entire body was covered in water. The ground was also dripping with sweat, forming a small puddle. Su Yu didn't care about this and was sweating profusely. At this moment, he had forged another 45 golden patterns. Zhao Li said calmly, "Continue, persevere, beat. In the past, I thought highly of you because I felt that you had the perseverance and tenacity. I did not see much talent, but tenacity is enough. Being able to endure hardships is the prefix of any industry." This was the first time he had met Su Yu. Su Yu had unleashed his willpower and worked together with the great Xia Manor's military to kill many believers of the 10,000 races. When his willpower was exhausted, Su Yu was able to stand up and talk to him. At that moment, he felt that Su Yu was a good seedling. He was very weak, but his tenacity was too strong. Today, he wanted Su Yu not to forget these fundamentals. Zhao Li said in a deep voice, "Keep forging. Let me see how many golden patterns you can forge." "Yes." Su Yu barely replied. Banging sounds rang out, hammer after hammer. The small knife was being hammered until it became smaller and smaller. The God-expanding hammer had the effect of extracting and removing impurities. The purer the weapon, the better. 3 hours, at this moment, Su Yu had already forged a weapon with 46 golden patterns. It was a mid-grade mystic rank weapon. This time, it was very easy. All the experience from the 100-path pavilion was absorbed and digested by him this time. Zhao Li didn't stop him. Su Yu continued to forge. The 47 golden patterns gradually appeared. Another half an hour later, the 48 golden patterns appeared. At this moment, Su Yu was completely exhausted. Even the change word could not hold on any longer. His face kept on changing as his willpower ran out. However, Zhao Li did not mind. He glanced at him, he said coldly, "Idiot. Can it be that only civilized masters can cast weapons? Do you think that warriors cannot cast weapons?" "Wrong, warriors can cast weapons too. Willpower is strength, isn't Yuan Qi? The heaven-casting king only uses willpower because he is inexperienced. Our Zhao family's weapon forging might not only use willpower, but Yuan Qi can also forge weapons. Even with a strong Yuan Qi, he can't use it." "Fool." Su Yu was weak. He continued hammering the knife and said intermittently, "Teacher. There's a connection problem. Once the output of willpower is interrupted and the power is changed, the forging will fail." Zhao Li said plainly, "That's because you don't have enough experience. When you successfully forge a golden pattern, take advantage of the moment when the golden pattern is formed to change the power so that it doesn't affect the forging of the next golden pattern. After 3 times like this, the vitality will be exhausted, and then the willpower will be changed, and then the vitality will be changed again." At this moment, Zhao Li revealed a slight smile. "Back then, when I forged that earth-grade literary weapon, do you think that I, Ling Yun, could last for a few days? It was through this continuous transformation. Of course, in the end, I really exhausted everything and couldn't recover from it. That's why I failed." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1427. 1427 Chapter 330, I Want to Forge Weapons 3. Earth-grade literary weapons can rarely be forged even in the mountains and seas. Most of them are at the Sun-Moon realm, so why must it be the Sun-Moon realm? Because the Sun-Moon realm is very powerful, and after fusing with the aperture, its recovery ability is also very strong. Its Yuan Qi and willpower recover very quickly. Zhao Li continued to explain, "Wait a moment. When you successfully forge 50 golden patterns and then forge 51 golden patterns, convert the power. Of course, the more golden patterns you forge, the greater the effect. If you rashly change the power, it's very likely that you'll cripple the weapon. It's alright, kid. You have money, but you can waste it all. Since you're back this time, then bring me a truly powerful literary soldier to take a look." Forging 55 golden patterns was a profound rank high-level literary soldier. Su Yu felt that it was impossible for him to forge a profound rank high-level literary soldier. His current strength was not enough, his experience was not enough, and his methods were not enough. However, since Zhao Li had said so, he gave it his all to try. It didn't matter if he couldn't forge it. At most, he could just cripple a scribe. A middle-grade profound rank scribe wasn't cheap, but no matter how cheap it was, the things that could be bought, weren't considered good things. Moreover, at this moment, Su Yu gradually found some feelings. Relax. At ease. In forging weapons in Daming Manor, he had always remembered the forging methods of the 100-Path Pavilion, so he was a little rigid. The methods of the 100-Path Pavilion weren't suitable for him, but Su Yu had to learn and follow them, otherwise, that phantom would not have specially come to guide him on how to forge a forging technique that suited him. Su Yu felt that his willpower was really about to be exhausted. At this moment, his body suddenly trembled slightly. A round ball was thrown out by him, and in the next moment, a large amount of heavenly Yuan Qi enveloped him. Zhao Li was stunned for a moment, and could not help but curse, "What a waste. F***CK. What the F***CK are you using to recover? Heaven Yuan Qi. Which Heaven Yuan fruit tree did you rob? Body forging." Su Yu replied as he instantly absorbed a large amount of Heaven Yuan Qi. As he recovered, he cast his body and forged at the same time. He was willful when he had money. If he lacked everything, he did not lack money. Forging was also a form of cultivation. Weapon forging masters usually had a strong physical body. This was because while forging, the sharpness of the weapon and the qi of the 5 elements constantly struck back at the physical body. This was also a method to forge the physical body. The golden body appeared. At this moment, the 50 golden patterns were about to be completed. The instant it was completed, he tried converting it into yuan qi. At the instant the 50 golden patterns were completed, Suyu quickly converted the willpower on the hammer into yuan qi. Just as he converted, the 51 golden patterns that were about to sprout suddenly exploded with a bang. This caused a chain reaction. With a boom, the entire weapon exploded. Suyu was instantly sent flying. Zhao Li did not mind it too much. Normally, there would be accidents when forging weapons, just like when an alchemy furnace exploded. This kid's energy conversion failed, causing the civil weapon to explode. As long as he did not die from the explosion, it was fine. Not far away, Suyu was covered in dust. Zhao Li did not bother with him and grabbed a broken civil weapon. After taking a look, he said, the conversion was too quick. The yuan qi was a little violent. It eased a little, reducing 50% of the strength and gradually increasing. I got it. Do you still not want to continue? Zhao Li shouted. Suyu had a helpless expression. Teacher, I have been fighting literary soldiers for nearly 8 hours straight. Even the Iron Man could not take it anymore. Zhao Li said coldly, didn't you want to help me forge an earth soldier? Now is not the time. With your little ability, you want to forge an earth soldier. Also, do you think that I, Zhao Li, can really fail so easily when I forge an earth soldier? Do you think that the earth soldier that I forge is a trash earth soldier? I'm preparing to advance to the heaven rank in the future. Do you know what the heaven rank is? Above 108 golden patterns, that is the heaven rank. Do you know why I failed? My heart is very big. I want to forge the embryonic form of 73 to 108 golden patterns, which can allow this earth soldier to grow on its own. This way, when my strength improves, I can directly upgrade this earth soldier to a heavenly soldier. What I need to forge is not only the 73 golden patterns. I need to forge another 35 golden patterns. You are also a weapon forging division. You know that the further you forge, the harder it will be. The backlash will be greater. My heart is too big and too greedy. That's why I failed. Now, I don't want to cripple that earth soldier. I need to forge another 35 golden patterns just like last time. Suyu was very surprised. This was the first time he knew about this situation. At this moment, he couldn't help but ask, Teacher, why don't you ask for the help of Principal Zhao Tianbing? He was too ambitious. It was best to ask Zhao Tianbing for help. Suyu previously thought that he could help his teacher forge an earth weapon, but it was only a low-grade one. It wasn't this heaven-grade embryonic form. Him. Zhao Li said indifferently, why are you looking for him? He can help, but that is not what I want to see. He is the main one, and I am the auxiliary one. So, was he the one who cast it, or was I the one who cast it? You are different. You are my student, and the casting system is the same as mine. Your strength is weaker than mine, and you also use the spirit expanding art. This way, when you cast it, the civil soldier is more suitable for me. Suyu nodded, and he could only stand up once more. He took out a large amount of materials and prepared to forge. Zhao Li glanced at him, then, he said, since you are back this time, don't be anxious. Stay for a few more days. If you want to help me forge earth soldiers, you are still a little lacking. When you forge a profound great high-level civil soldier, you can give it a try. Your willpower will also be stronger. Don't be in a hurry to enter Ling Yun. Continue using the spirit expanding technique. Teacher, I want to see Senior Uncle Feng Qi. He's been captured and needs to be interrogated publicly. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1428. 1428 Chapter 330, I Want to Forge Weapons 4. I heard about this from your senior brother Wang. Zhao Li knew about this matter. He didn't really care about it before, but now that he thought about it, he said, you want to advance to Lingyun and hide it from Invincible. The difficulty isn't small. Actually, there's no point in spectating. As he said this, he thought about it and said, but since you're here, I probably won't be able to persuade you. Then, it's best to let the public trial drag on for a few days. Drag on. This was the Invincible public trial. How could he drag on? The Invincible ones were all elusive. It was already not easy for them to come here. Of course, they were preparing to end the battle quickly. According to Su Yu's judgment, the public trial might be held in a day or two. Zhao Li sneered, a method depends on people's thinking. Why is it impossible? After saying that, he quickly said, simple. If you can advance to high-level profound rank in these few days, I'll announce to the public that I want to forge another Earth soldier. Su Yu looked at him silently. Teacher, you overestimate yourself. Earth soldier doesn't seem to be that popular. Woody would watch you forge a soldier for this. Earth-grade soldiers were usually used by the sun and moon in the mountains and seas. To them, they were treasures. To Woody, heaven-grade soldiers were more or less the same, but Earth-grade soldiers were not enough. Fool, do you think I want to forge an ordinary Earth soldier? Zhao Li had a proud look on his face. If I really wanted to become an Earth-grade weapon forging master, I would have done it decades ago, but it's not very meaningful. This time, look at me. I guarantee that even Invincible will have to wait for a few days. I don't have the mood to go to the public trial. With that said, he looked at the back of the hall. That was where he stored the Earth-grade soldiers. He smiled and said, when you advance in the future, follow me to the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm. Forget it, I'll move the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm over. This time, the Earth-grade soldiers will be forged in the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm. If the commotion is a little bigger, there's a chance for you to advance in rank during the period of weapon forging. Furthermore, if this Earth weapon is forged successfully, there will be some feedback. You will gain some benefits and your body will also improve a little. When you appear later as a high-grade or even top-grade mystic weapon forging master, not many people will dare to probe you. I'll give you a few words of praise, saying that you have the hope of being a heaven-grade weapon forging master. He smiled and said, this is equivalent to being invincible in battle. Being invincible in weapon forging masters is more popular than being invincible in normal circumstances. I, Zhao Li, will not casually praise people. I have to believe it or not. At that time, Invincible will not casually investigate you because your status is high. If you become a heaven-rank weapon forging master, these people might come to you in the future. It was very difficult for Su Yu to hide from Invincible with divine inscriptions. In Zhao Li's opinion, you are weak and your status is low. Invincible can probe you if he wants to. What can you do? However, if you are weak and your status is not low, then Invincible will have to give you face. You have a very high chance of becoming a heaven-rank weapon forging master. Invincible does not use weapons anymore. And now, only the heaven forging king is. Although Zhao Li was not at Earth rank, he had succeeded this time. He was definitely at Earth rank. His senior brother was still at the peak of Earth rank. If he said that Su Yu had a chance, as an expert in this field, there would still be people who would believe his words. Su Yu nodded when he heard that and said somewhat helplessly, but I feel that I won't be able to become a high-level mystic rank weapon forging master so quickly. Even if I can forge 50 golden patterns now, I feel that I have reached my limit. Anything is possible. Zhao Li ignored him, continue forging. I'll find someone to bring the Yuan Qi Mystic Realm over and take out the Earth soldier. I'll be waiting for you, kid. Let me tell you, kid, I've sealed the Earth soldier and can only take it out once. If I fail this time, the Earth soldier will be scrapped. If it's scrapped, my main divine text will be scrapped. Think it over yourself. Suyu bared his teeth. I'm not confident. If this failed, the main divine text would be shattered, and Zhao Li would be severely injured. He was no longer young, so he would be in big trouble. Was there a need? Zhao Li did not bother with him. Soon, he left the research institute and headed straight for the Mystic Realm zone. Yuan Qi Mystic Realm. Elder Nie was in charge. The moment Zhao Li arrived, Elder Nie hurriedly said, "Old Zhao, why are you here? Give me the Yuan Qi mirror. I want to move the Mystic Realm. Also, everyone inside has to come out. I want to move back." Elder Nie was stunned. "Old Zhao, this, why don't you think about it carefully? If there's anything you're dissatisfied with, you can tell us. The students all need this now. I want to forge weapons." Forge weapons? Elder Nie was stunned for a moment. The next moment, his eyes moved slightly as he said, "That earth weapon of yours?" "That's right." Elder Nie frowned. "Who's going to be my assistant? Manor Head Zhao?" "No, an outsider. A genius weapon forging master. He's going to be my assistant. Others won't be able to do it, but his strength is too strong. He's suppressing my position as the main forging master. He has to be weaker than me." He ignored Elder Nie and frowned. "Hurry up. I want to use it. I'll bring it back when I'm done." "Elder Zhao, this is too risky. You found outsiders to help you forge weapons, and they are weaker than you. It's very easy for you to fail. So what if you fail? It's none of your business." Zhao Li cursed. Elder Nie was helpless and could only hand the Yuan Qi mirror to him. It was the key to controlling the Yuan Qi mystic realm. Zhao Li did not waste his breath. He controlled the Yuan Qi mirror and quickly made hand gestures at the Yuan Qi mystic realm. Soon, the void trembled. A moment later, the mystic realm's hut was destroyed. A semi-transparent space instantly appeared and in the next moment, it disappeared into the Yuan Qi mirror. In the blink of an eye, Yuan Qingdong and a few elders rushed over. Seeing this scene, some elders could not help but say, "Old Zhao, what are you trying to do? Let's talk it out. The Yuan Qi mystic realm is not bad for you, but now that the academy is in a difficult period, Old Zhao, aren't you going a little too far by doing this?" You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1429. 1429 Chapter 330, I Want to Forge Soldiers, request to subscribe to a monthly 5. Zhao Li glanced at him and said unhappily, "It's none of your business. This is mine. If I want to take it away, what can you do about it?" He was speechless. Yuan Qingdong also frowned slightly and said, "Teacher Zhao, you want to take this Yuan Qi mystic realm away? If it was taken away, the students would make a fuss again. Ever since he was in charge of affairs, it had never been smooth sailing. Now that the library had been occupied by Hong Tan and closed, the students and teachers were about to explode. If the Yuan Qi realm was taken away again, wouldn't it be even more explosive?" Zhao Li ignored him. Yuan Qingdong's eyes flashed with anger. He was the sun and the moon, but in this godforsaken place, no one treated him like the sun and the moon. Ling Yun could also ignore him. "Teacher Zhao Li, even if you want to take away the Yuan Qi mystic realm, you have to go through the elders' meeting, right?" Yuan Qingdong said plainly, the Yuan Qi mystic realm was left behind by the 4th generation head of the academy. However, over the years, the academy, including the exploration realm, invested a lot of resources into it, which resulted in the current rich Yuan Qi. Zhao Li raised his head to look at him. He could have explained it and returned it when he turned around, but he refused to explain. At that moment, he immediately scolded, "So what? I'm taking it away, and you want to snatch it? Try it. You snatched my Yuan Qi mystic realm, and I'll bang my head against the city gates of your De Yuan mansion and die. I want to see what the Yuan king has to say. Aren't the things left behind by my father mine? Did anyone save my father and lose his life? Did I owe you guys? Zhao Li cursed, F***ck off. Do you really think that I'm easy to bully? Do you think that the Yuan family can steal my things? Zhao Tianbing, that piece of sh**t. Even his master's things have been stolen. Why is he still pretending to be the second weapon forging division? What a piece of trash. I'll just ram my head into the De Yuan mansion and settle this. Yuan Qingdong instantly shut up. He didn't say anything. It has nothing to do with me. Just take him away. It's not that I'm afraid of Zhao Li, it's that there's really no need to drag me into it. Can I King keep my mouth shut? The second weapon forging division. Yes, this isn't boasting, Zhao Tianbing is really the second weapon forging division. If he really crashes to his death in the De Yuan mansion, the De Yuan king will probably kill Yuan Qingdong to make amends and snatch the other party's mystic realm. The other party's second weapon forging division has already crashed to his death in front of your house. If you don't give him an explanation, it wouldn't make sense for him to be invincible. He did not need the Yuan Qi secret realm, he was just afraid that the students would explode. Now that Zhao Li had said so, what else could he say? The other elders also shut up at this moment. All right. Take it. Even though he was extremely unwilling, Zhao Li had a weird temper. If he really crashed to his death in the De Yuan mansion, Zhao Tianbing would go crazy. They would also be unlucky. Don't think that Shanghai was not weak. If a second weapon forging master at the Sun Moon realm wanted to find trouble with you, there were plenty of ways. Zhao Li snorted. Seeing that they were silent, only then did he curse, a bunch of ingrates. How much have you invested in this, father? If you have the ability, give me all the money you have collected over these years. The Yuan Qi mystic realm has nurtured the academy for decades. F***ck, you want to settle accounts with me? Do you want to pull up a list and slowly calculate? If you have the ability, try forming a Yuan Qi mystic realm after you die. Zhao Li snorted, what are you looking at? I'll take it back to forge weapons and bring it back after I'm done. However, in the future, your students and family members are not allowed to enter. Those bastards who spoke just now, don't even think about it. Little Nie, write this down for me. When their people enter, I'll move this Yuan Qi mystic realm away. The pavilion elder who had spoken had a helpless look on his face. I had only said one sentence. Elder Nie also smiled helplessly and nodded. I understand. Pavilion Elder Qi asked curiously, you want to forge weapons? Nonsense, why not forge weapons? Despite being rebuked by him, Pavilion Elder Qi was not angry. He smiled and said, why would a weapon forge need a Yuan Qi mystic realm? It lacks Yuan Qi. The academy has a Yuan Qi liquid reserve. I will just send it over to you. I want to forge earth weapons. Send me 100,000 drops of Yuan Qi liquid. Silence. Earth weapons. At the next moment, Elder Qi said sternly, Old Zhao, what are you thinking? You want to forge earth weapons all of a sudden. If I'm in a good mood, I'm happy. So what? Zhao Li continued to rebuke the heavens and the earth. Since he had such a personality, he had to hold it in even if he was not convinced. It was because he did not have invincible protection, but he was not afraid. Although that senior brother made him very dissatisfied, that senior brother could indeed protect him. That was enough. After saying that, Zhao Li took the Yuan Qi mirror and walked back. The mystic realm could not be moved too far, but in the academy, this distance was not a problem. Everyone could only watch as he left. Not long after, a transparent world appeared above the research institute he was in. After a while, the entire research institute disappeared. What remained in place was only a transparent barrier, but nothing could be seen. It was transparent, and one could only see the environment opposite the barrier. It was as if it did not exist, but experts could sense the fluctuations. Just as they were feeling helpless, a powerful aura spread out from the shield in the next moment. A huge hammer gradually appeared in the sky above the shield. It was very, very big. It was also somewhat transparent. At this moment, someone sighed softly and said, "Old Zhao is really going to cast this earth weapon again." Yuan Qingdong was a little stunned. Although he was the sun and the moon, he was still a little dazed at this moment. This is an earth weapon. He had it himself. How could an earth weapon be like this? Was it that powerful? The Qi Pavilion elder smiled faintly and said, "The earth weapon cast by old Zhao is different. He is ambitious. In the past, he went for the heavenly weapon. Once this earth weapon is cast, it is alive and has the foundation of a heavenly weapon." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1430. 1430 Chapter 330, I Want to Forge a Weapon. Subscribe to the monthly 6. Alive? That's right. Elder Qi sighed softly, alive, because old Zhao's main god text is inside. Man and soldier become one. Old Zhao wants to forge himself as well. If it wasn't for everyone stopping him in the past and he failed to forge, he would have already forged himself in. When a person dies, he might be able to leave behind a top-grade earth soldier. Yuan Qingdong was speechless. What a ruthless person. He had really broadened his horizons when he came to the Great Xia Manor. At this moment, he was secretly glad that he did not continue to argue with that madman. Otherwise, this madman would have dared to cast himself. If he really died in front of his house, he would not be able to explain himself. He was not a nobody. The strength of the weapon forging division was not strong, but civilized masters really could not do without them. They were more important than pills. It was fine if they did not need pills, but if they did not use weapons, it was 1 in 100. And at this moment, this huge commotion had attracted the attention of many people. Yuan Qi began to sweep over, and the huge hammer was swaying in the air. At this moment, the few experts who were discussing matters at the city lord's manor suddenly looked at the Great Xia Civilized Academy. The great Han King said indifferently, "This is." Lord Xia Ho also saw it and felt it. He smiled and said, "Zhao Li is going to cast a weapon. Zhao Sanhammer's son." The great Han King thought of something and the silkworm exterminating king laughed, "Interesting. What kind of casting method is this? From the looks of it, it seems like he is going to cast a heavenly weapon. It doesn't look like an earth weapon. This isn't a heavenly weapon, right?" On the other side, the young man wasn't very tall. The scholarly young man holding a fan laughed and said, "This is the fusion of divine literature into a literary weapon. A human-grade weapon forging method. This Zhao Li was quite bold. I've heard of him in the past, but he failed the last time. This time, he wants to continue and forge it. It won't be difficult for him to enter the mountains and seas. The literary weapon won't be destroyed, and he can borrow troops to support people. There's hope for the sun and moon as well. This is treating the literary weapon as one aperture." Lord Xiaoho nodded slightly. He smiled and said, "Probably. Uncles, why don't I stop him? This guy doesn't care about other things. He's used to doing things his own way. With him making such a fuss, Feng Qi's public trial will be distracted. There's no need." The great Han King drank his tea. He said indifferently, "There's no rush. Feng Qi just happened to be injured. We'll talk about it after he recovers. Let's wait a few days and see how this person's casting skills are. If Xiao Sanhammer didn't die in the past, I'm afraid the second heaven-rank weapon forging master in the human realm would have appeared. The great Xia Manor does have some talents. Lord Xiaohou laughed and beat him up, of course. The Great Xia Civilization Academy's 6th generation prefect. Apart from Old One who's a little useless, the first 5 generations are all useless. The 3 unrivaled experts didn't say anything. Was it the 10,000 heavenly saints? The few of them looked in that direction. 10,000 heavenly saints. What was this kid planning? The few of them had arrived. That fellow was also in seclusion and hadn't shown his face up until now. Also, was it a coincidence that Zhao Li chose to cast his weapon at this time, or was it something else? Did the Great Xia Manor want to deliberately delay the time for the public hearing? There was no meaning to that, right? In any case, the few of them felt that there was no meaning to it. If it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to take a look at the situation of the cast weapon, they could have the public hearing at any time. They could do it now, but they weren't in a hurry. Feng Qi wasn't the key. The key was Qin Yong and Hong Tan, who had been silent all this while. There were many Divine Arts Department in the Great Xia Mansion. Actually, the few of them also had a headache. Otherwise, why would the few invincible experts personally come? The Great Xia Mansion could solve this problem on their own. This matter involved Qin Yong and Hong Tan. Although Yi Batian died, it wasn't as if there wasn't a little bit of influence left. A slight carelessness could still cause some changes. Yi Batian, who had died many years ago, had an astonishing influence on the civilization masters. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1431. 1431 Chapter 331 Backcasting Wenbing 1. Inside the Research Institute. At this moment, the Research Institute was wrapped up by the mystic realm. Su Yu was also shocked. Old Zhao really did move the mystic realm here and directly wrapped up the Research Institute. Of course, what shocked him even more was that Earth soldier. At this moment, Zhao Li unsealed the Wenbing. The Wenbing changed its shape in the air and finally turned into a huge hammer. Looking at the huge hammer hanging in the air, Su Yu fell into deep thought. This hammer felt very powerful, but it seemed to be missing something compared to the 100 Paths Pavilion. Of course, the two were different. But he felt that something was missing. Zhao Li saw him observe, he calmly said, "Don't look anymore. This thing has been unsealed. This time, I want to forge weapons. You, kid, be my assistant. I'll do the preparatory work first. You continue forging. When the forging is over and a profound grade high-level literary soldier is forged, we'll begin." Teacher, isn't it too casual? Su Yu felt that it was too casual. Did you really unseal it? Casual? Zhao Li glanced at him and said indifferently, "Didn't you say it yourself? You want to forge weapons for me? Holy shit. I didn't say that it was going to be done immediately. I didn't know that it was so difficult." This earth weapon seemed to be stronger and more complicated than some earth weapons that he had seen before. The key was that the casting had failed, and the old Zhao's divine text had been shattered. It would be very troublesome. At this moment, little hairy ball flew out and looked at the earth soldier, muttering, "Fragrant." He wanted to eat it. There was a divine text in this earth soldier. And it had been nurtured for decades. Su Yu shouted, "Get back here." Little hairy ball was reluctant to part with it, but it still flew back. Zhao Li glanced at it, but he didn't care. He continued, "You cast your soldiers, and I began to prepare." Now in the mystic realm, the divine text mystic realm at the peak of the sun and moon, invincible can explore it, but once it is explored, there will be some changes in the mystic realm. Which invincible dares to explore it and blow up my mystic realm? Who will I go to find to settle the score? As for how to settle the score, He was going to bang his head on your doorstep and die. Even if he was invincible, you would still feel disgusted if I were to bang my head on your doorstep. It would be disgusting. Teacher, do you need any materials? There's no need. The things you brought back for me last time are enough. It doesn't matter if there are a few less unimportant things. Just as he was speaking, Suyu took out a huge pile of materials. Teacher, I didn't buy much. I only bought 100,000 merit points worth of materials. Do you have anything that you need? Zhao Li shot him a glance and snorted. Who's the shabby one? Do I lack money? Alright, I'm a little lacking. F***ck. This scoundrel really made a huge sum of money at Daming Manor. Just 100,000 merit points. Thinking back, when you entered the academy, for a few dozen merit points, you even specially asked me when I would give out the merit points. Cut the crap. Zhao Li reprimanded, quickly cast the weapon. There's enough yuan qi. This place can recover yuan qi and willpower very quickly. Breaking through the yuan qi mystic realm is also easier. Whether it's casting your body or willpower, it's much smoother here. With that said, he added, also, I have to remind you to complete the connection between yuan qi and willpower as soon as possible. This casting of the weapon might last for a few days. Can you last for a few days now? Suyu was speechless. He couldn't, unless he completed the connection. The pressure was too great. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Teacher, please wait until I complete the connection before unsealing it. Without pressure, how can there be motivation? Zhao Li's expression was calm, you don't lack anything, and you still lack some pressure. I'll give it to you. If the weapon forging fails, I probably won't die. It's just the divine runes breaking, and it's just a backlash. At the very most, I'll only lose a level. I'll probably drop to Ling Yun's initial stage. It's not a big deal. I'm not a dead person. Suyu was helpless. How could it be the same? Was this not a big deal? Zhao Li was really giving him pressure. He wasn't being vague at all. I really want little hairy ball to eat your divine text. Alright, forget it. Zhao Li's main divine text had actually advanced to level 4. However, his divine text was currently restricted by the Earth Soldier. It couldn't be returned. It wasn't that the divine text couldn't be returned, but, the Earth Soldier was the main divine text. If the Earth Soldier couldn't be retrieved, then the divine text couldn't be retrieved. Zhao Li ignored him and began to extract some materials, doing the preparatory work. Suyu didn't waste any more words and continued to forge. Bang bang bang. The sounds of hammering rang out continuously. This time, Suyu wasn't like what Zhao Li had said. He used up all of his resources before switching again. After forging for a short while, he started to switch again and again. Zhao Li frowned slightly, there are too many nodes in the literary weapon that you can forge like this. Even if you forge it, it won't be easy to use. Suyu did not even raise his head. I'll return to the furnace after I'm done. This isn't for use. I'll try switching again. If I use up all my energy, it'll be easy for problems to arise. It'll take too long. When Zhao Li heard this, he was slightly stunned. That was true. In the past, he had used up all his energy before switching again. Perhaps it was due to some inherent thoughts, but he did not want to switch again until he reached the end. Otherwise, the quality would decline. He was more of a perfectionist when it came to forging weapons. As for Suyu, what he cared about was not the outcome but the process and means. There were still some differences between the two of them. And at the same time that Suyu forged his weapons, he was famous. No, Cui Lang was famous. Zhao Li's commotion was not small. He had moved away the Yuan Qi mystic realm and left the earth weapon hanging in the air. Now, he heard that some weapon forging division from the various large manors had received the news and were rushing over, including Zhao Tianbing from the Great Zhou Manor. At that moment, he was also rushing over to the Great Xia Manor. And this time, it was rumored that Zhao Li had cast his weapon because he felt that Cui Lang had the hope of helping him cast his weapon. Therefore, he was prepared to join forces with Cui Lang to cast his weapon together. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1432 1432 Chapter 331, Casting Literary Soldiers 2. This time, Cui Lang was completely famous. Niu Baidao's in-name disciple was at the 9th stage of the Soaring Heaven realm. He was a primary weapon forging master of the Xian class, and he might be at the middle level of the Xian class now. He had his own special forging methods and was highly regarded by Zhao Li. He was 35 years old, not too old. Of course, Cui Lang was more famous for hooking up with Cheng Mo's granddaughter, Cheng Yamo, who was at the 9th stage of the Sun and Moon realm. He was one of the stabilizing needles of the Tang family, and he was close to being an invincible powerhouse. He was almost as powerful as the mansion masters of the big manors. Now, Cui Lang had walked out of the mansion of Daming and helped Zhao Li forge weapons. The rumors spread like wildfire. Some people said that once Zhao Li succeeded in forging weapons, those who helped him forge weapons, including Zhao Li himself, would have great benefits. It was not that no one had forged earth weapons before, nor were they rare. There were some in the big manors. However, Zhao Li's earth weapon was different. What he wanted to forge was not an earth weapon, but the embryonic form of a heaven weapon. The two were different. Any heaven weapon was an extraordinary thing. The 100 Dao Pavilion of the Daming Manors was a heaven weapon. The super-sensing jade that was later created could be considered a half-heaven weapon. Of course, a supporting half-heaven weapon was actually rarer than a heaven weapon, and was not inferior to a heaven weapon. The Great Xia Manor also had a heavenly weapon, but it wasn't a pure heavenly weapon either. The heavenly mirror that peered into the future was actually a heavenly weapon. However, there were many divine inscriptions embedded within it. It wasn't considered a heavenly weapon in itself, and the divine inscriptions added to it. That was why this heavenly mirror became a heavenly weapon. And now, the two mystic rank weapon forging masters were actually going to cast the embryonic form of a heavenly weapon. Once this news was released, all the weapon forging masters in the human realm became interested. This included the Daming Manor. This time, there were experts rushing over and weapon forging masters coming over. After all, there were actually weapon forging masters from the Daming Manor participating this time. Daming Prefecture. This time, Hu Qi personally led the team. Vice Mansion Master Wang was worried about her safety, so he followed her personally. Two Sun-Moon Realm warriors. They brought some weapon forging geniuses, including teachers and students. Bai Junsheng was one of them. At this moment, Bai Junsheng said with a shocked expression, "When did senior brother Cui Lang advance to the mystic rank weapon forging master?" Moreover, he actually cooperated with Master Zhao Li to forge the Earth soldiers. Isn't he just an ordinary Earth soldier? He's so awesome. Hu Qi didn't say anything. Beside her, a teacher also said with a sigh, "Cui Lang, a true genius. He actually advanced to the mystic rank without a sound, and he's even at the middle level of the mystic rank." This time, regardless of whether he succeeded or failed, there would be quite a lot of gains. The embryonic form of the heaven forging weapon. Once he succeeded, he would definitely have some gains. Perhaps he could use this to step into the high level or even the peak of the mystic rank. Hu Qi still did not speak, but she was slightly shocked in her heart. She knew that Su Yu's talent was not bad, but this fellow did not seem to be able to forge weapons, right? He could actually forge mystic weapons. She really did not know about this. She did not know about the matter of the 100 Path Pavilion. When Su Yu challenged the trial, she was in closed-door cultivation. If she was not in closed-door cultivation, she might not have known about this. After these people spoke for a while, Hu Qi said softly, Zhao Li's weapon forging technique is very special. It is best that everyone does not learn it. However, we can use it for reference. The earth weapon that he forged this time is different from before. To say that it is an earth weapon, actually, it is hard to describe it. It is no longer considered a weapon forging technique. It is more appropriate to say that it is a person forging technique. Everyone, when you arrive at the Great Xia Manor, do not care about other things. Just observe the weapon forging technique. Of course, we might not be able to see it. However, this time, Zhao Li's earth weapon prototype is floating in the air. He also has the intention to give it his all. We can use that projection to observe it for a while. Got it. Everyone replied. Soon, the group rode on a huge flying beast and left. It wasn't real, but a mechanical beast made of puppets. From all directions, weapon forging experts rushed toward the Great Xia Manor. On the Great Xia Manor's side, the matter of Feng Qi being publicly judged had also been covered up. Everyone was even more curious. Would Zhao Li's weapon forging succeed? Could there be a second Earth-grade weapon forging division in the Great Xia Manor? An Earth-grade weapon forging division was about the same as the birth of a sun and moon in the human race. The Great Xia Civilization Academy. At this moment, it once again became the focal point of the human realm. The projection of the Earth Soldier hung in the air. The surrounding Yuan Qi was astonishingly dense. Many people were extremely surprised. Earth soldiers were not like this. This time, the Earth Soldier that Zhao Li had forged was truly different from the rest. Inside the mystic realm, Su Yu was sweating profusely. His heaven Yuan Qi was constantly being consumed, and he was also absorbing large amounts of ordinary Yuan Qi. Hammer strike. He continued hammering, forging, and hammering. He had thrown away his white robe. At that moment, Su Yu was bare-chested, and his skin was glowing with a golden glow. The flames were burning, and the fire-type divine script was never broken. Not only that, even the flame of heritage had been used. It was not for himself, but mainly to give Zhao Li some inspiration. As for Zhao Li, his eyes were closed, as if he was comprehending something, preparing for the next forging. 52 golden patterns. With a loud bang, it exploded again, and a few bloody marks appeared on Su Yu's body. He did not care. He gritted his teeth, somewhat puzzled. Why had he failed again? The transformation was very smooth. Why did he fail again? Zhao Li, who had his eyes closed. He suddenly opened his mouth and said, "Calm your heart. You must calm your mind whenever there is a major event. It's just weapon forging. Don't be distracted. I'm giving you pressure, not causing you to collapse. So what if the forging really failed? Calm down for me. Weapons also have feelings. If your heart isn't calm and your temper is high, your weapon will also be on fire." Su Yu nodded and didn't say anything else. In the next moment, the calm word was activated. Zhao Li. Motherf asterisk cur. Zhao Li only wanted to curse. Just how many holy texts did you have? There were all kinds of holy texts. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1433. 1433 Chapter 331 Back-cast Literary Soldier 3. I told you to calm down, but you really did calm down and directly used a divine text. He wanted to curse, but in the next moment, he himself quieted down and felt somewhat helpless. This divine text of yours is a bit strange. The effect is quite good. That's from the great Zhou King's manuscript. The number one person in the exploration realm still had some skill. Zhao Li didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Alright, you win. Su Yu calmed his heart and brewed for a while before starting to forge again. Extraction, quenching, forging. As for crippling the literary soldier and wasting thousands of merit points, he didn't care. He started to forge again. 3 hours later, a 53 golden patterned literary soldier was tossed aside by Su Yu as if it was trash. Su Yu fell silent. After a while, he said, "Teacher, unless my willpower has reached level 3, it will be difficult for me to create a high-level black-level civil soldier." Zhao Li said calmly, "Who said that?" "The God-expanding spell is to solidify my foundation. But if I use the God-expanding spell, I might not be able to advance to Ling Yun in a short period of time." "It doesn't matter. Forging is also cultivation. Why are you in such a hurry to advance? Is advancing to Ling Yun very useful? If your foundation isn't stable, do you want to become stronger in the future? Don't make your foundation unstable because of some small matters." Su Yu thought for a moment and could only nod. The soul-expanding technique began to compress his willpower again, expanding his sea of consciousness, and forging his divine runes. He continued to forge. As his willpower was compressed again, it became easier for him to forge than before. However, his full capacity had decreased. Previously, his willpower at the peak of level 2 was actually similar to his temperament. Once he reached 100% full capacity, he would be able to advance to level 3. However, now that the soul-expanding technique was used, his willpower was compressed again. Previously, it was close to 95%. Now, it had been compressed once again. Of course, his strength did not decline. On the contrary, as his willpower was compressed, his sea of will was expanded, and he had even more potential. Previously, Su Yu was already prepared to give up on expanding. Zhao Li did not care about him anymore. Looking at the huge hammer in front of him, he took a deep breath. He said, "I'll start the precasting. You cast the weapon on one side and observe me on the other. I'll need a few days to cast the precasting. The main reason is to reforge some of the previous flaws. In the past, I cast 72.5 inscriptions, and there are many problems with them. I'm going to reforge them." Su Yu's expression changed slightly. Reforge. Just like the first time he saw Zhao Li cast the weapon, he reforged the inscriptions and then reforged them. This was much more difficult than directly casting. Su Yu couldn't even cast a yellow rank weapon. This was the real technology. Zhao Li said calmly, "I want to cast all the inscriptions and then reforge them. It'll take a few days to reforge them. Kid, when I'm done, come and help me cast the weapon together." "How long will it take?" "Around 3 days. Zhao Li smiled and said, "After 3 days, I will recast the earth weapon back to its initial state. Of course, if everything goes smoothly, even if there are no golden inscriptions in its initial state, it will still be comparable to a top-tier yellow rank scribe. This is the best embryo. By then, if the forging is successful, this scribe will have greater potential. In the future, it will definitely be able to advance to a heavenly weapon." Su Yu bared his teeth. "Teacher still wants to increase the difficulty. Aren't you pursuing perfection too much? This will take 3 days. Are you sure you can hold on?" "Teacher, I have Yuan Qi, including Heaven Yuan Qi. However, I lack some treasures that can quickly recover my willpower. Why don't you prepare some more?" Zhao Li smiled and said, "It's fine, I have some." With that said, he took out more than 10 incense sticks that he had lit for Su Yu previously. This is made from the spirit-returning grass, and each one is worth over 1,000 merit points. It's also something I prepared for the Earth Soldier, so I can use it. Su Yu nodded and threw a ball over. "Teacher, this is Heaven Yuan Qi, and I still have quite a bit. It's too slow to recover Yuan Qi, so you can use this to replenish your willpower. In truth, the two of them had spent such a huge price, and it might have even exceeded the price of an Earth soldier. However, this time, the Earth weapon was not purely for the Earth weapon. If Zhao Li succeeded, he would definitely advance to the Shanghai realm and become an Earth rank weapon forging master. As for Su Yu, he would also gain a lot of benefits. Money was meaningless at this time. Zhao Li glanced at him and sighed in his heart. What a rich dog. There were still many more. He could not be bothered to ask where this brat got it, so he did not say anything. This time, the success of the weapon forging would be of great help to everyone. If he failed, it would be a loss. It would be best if he succeeded. With that, he might be able to become an Earth-grade intermediate or advanced weapon forging master. At that time, he could be considered to have some status. He would be able to speak to Invincible. Along with his senior brother, that fellow should be arriving soon. If two Earth-grade weapon forging masters were really in trouble, they could still contribute a little. Zhao Li didn't say anything more. With a shout, a huge hammer appeared. The God-expanding hammer in Su Yu's hand could be considered the son of the huge hammer. At that moment, when the huge hammer appeared, the small hammer actually felt a little excited. Zhao Li laughed. Resonance, very good. Your God-expanding hammer has been strengthened quite a bit. When you and I worked together to forge it, we were the most suitable partners. The forging method was the same, and the literary soldiers that were forged had fewer flaws, so there wouldn't be any major conflicts. This is also an important point that you can help me with. The others, more or less, including Zhao Tianbing, have some conflicts with me. Only you and I know the God-expanding technique. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1434. 1434 Chapter 331, Casting Literary Soldiers 4. Su Yu nodded. Zhao Li didn't say anything else. With a low shout, he smashed the God-expanding hammer at the Earth soldier, and the flames burned into the air. At this moment, Su Yu and Zhao Li were covered in sweat. Zhao Li also directly burned his shirt and wore a pair of big underpants. He laughed and said, "Remember to get some clothes when you come out of seclusion. Don't embarrass yourself." "I know. I won't forget." Su Yu smiled and began to forge his own civil weapon. Bang, bang, bang. One hammer, one hammer. Zhao Li forged his own civil weapon. Su Yu continued to make preparations for the next step of forging. Sweat poured down like rain, and the atmosphere was hot. At this moment, the two of them had forgotten everything in the outside world. Forging. The fire of inheritance was still burning, and the holy prose of silence was also lit. This created the best forging environment for the two of them. The heart needed to be calm, and the head needed to be alive. May 24th. The second day of Su Yu and Zhao Li's forging. At this moment, experts rushed over from the surroundings of the Yuan Qi mystic realm. Many weapon forging masters from his manor occupied the front line. Earth-rank weapon forging masters came. This included the great Xia Manor's own Earth-rank weapon forging master who had come out of seclusion. At this moment, he was explaining to others. This weapon forging master from the great Xia mansion had a small conflict with Zhao Li in the past. However, he did not care about this at this moment. There were many weapon forging masters from the great Xia mansion surrounding him. The white-haired old man said in a deep voice, "Zhao Li is forging back. This fellow is too wild and too arrogant. Forging back is extremely difficult. He wants to forge a half-earth weapon back to its initial state. This is even more difficult than forging an earth weapon. When Zhao Li is successful in forging, he will be a true earth-rank weapon forging master. This fellow might already have the ability to cast an earth-rank weapon." At this moment, everyone could see that the projection of the earth weapon had 72.5 golden patterns. At this moment, those half-golden patterns were showing signs of dissipating. Recasting. This was a legend to many weapon forging masters. Now, there was actually someone who wanted to recast a half-earth weapon. Just as the old man said, if he succeeded, he would already be an earth-rank weapon forging master. After succeeding, Zhao Li would continue to forge and forge weapons. Once he forged another earth weapon, the strength of Zhao Li's weapon forging might even surpass that of the old man in front of him. The old man in front of him was now an earth-rank intermediate weapon forging master. However, he was only a beginner and could forge an earth weapon with 82 golden patterns. Even so, the old man was already a top-tier weapon forging master in the human realm. Some of the laymen beside him didn't quite understand, so they hurriedly said, "Old Chen, why did Master Zhao return to forge? It's better to continue forging along with the previous inscriptions. There's no need to do anything unnecessary, right? There are many benefits from returning to forge." The old man said in a deep voice, "First, after returning to forge, the embryo will be stronger. The embryo that was originally a mid-grade Earth soldier can become a top-grade Earth soldier. Second, remove the flaws and become more perfect." After being cast back, Zhao Li wasn't as old as he is now, so he can remove all the flaws. Third, after being cast back, cast again. The literary soldier will become stronger, and the gains will be greater. Cast a weapon and cast a top-grade literary soldier. There will be a lot of comprehension and feedback. There will be a lot of divine literature comprehension and willpower comprehension. Fourth. Speaking up to this point, he paused, someone behind him laughed lightly and said, "Fourth, Cui Lang, who is casting a weapon with Zhao Li, will receive great benefits. He will be able to see how an earth soldier starts from scratch and how it will be forged step by step successfully. He won't be completely confused. If he succeeds this time, Cui Lang should be able to raise his weapon forging skills by 1 or 2 small levels." As soon as these words were said, many people looked at the person behind them. It was an old woman. Hu Qi. That old man Chen also stood up at this moment. He turned around to look at Hu Qi and said with a smile, "Senior Hu." "Yes, Senior." Hu Qi was also only an earth-grade intermediate weapon forging master, but she was slightly stronger than him. The main reason was that she was slightly older. Furthermore, she was the aunt of the great Xia Manor's manager Hu, and her seniority was also very high. At this moment, Manager Hu was quietly watching from not too far away. He did not dare to get close to Hu Qi. Hu Qi was a little repulsed by him. Hu Qi smiled and nodded. "Chen Su, it has been many years since we last met. Senior is here as well. I did not expect that. Come and take a look at this child, Cui Lang. I have actually taught him a few times." Hu Qi smiled and said, "He is old and NIU's student. He can be considered half of my student. Now, the opportunity is right in front of him. I hope that he can grasp it. If he can enter the high level or even top-tier profound rank this time, he will definitely become an earth rank within 3 to 5 years." As he spoke, his eyes lit up as he said, "An earth rank weapon forging master before the age of 40. Cui Lang's future is limitless. Even I didn't expect that Zhao Li would ask Cui Lang to be his assistant." The moment these words were said, many people's eyes turned green with envy. Some of the teachers of the weapon forging department also bared their teeth. Someone lamented, "I don't know what Elder Zhao is thinking. There are still some mystic rank weapon forging masters in the Great Xia Civilization Academy." Other people might not say, but Senior Brother Wang is a high-level mystic rank, his first direct disciple. How can he find an outsider? On the side, Senior Brother Wang was also there. He smiled and said, "Brother Sun, don't say that. My teacher is like this. He feels that you are not suitable, and neither is his disciple. If he thinks that you are suitable, he doesn't care whether you are his disciple or not. I've looked at Junior Brother Chui's weapon forging once. His technique is pretty good. He is also young and has a bright future. Once he succeeds, he will enter the Earth rank in a few years. That will be the joy of the human race. At this moment, someone exclaimed. The hammer hanging in the air had 72 half-golden patterns on it, and the half-golden pattern disappeared instantly. It's starting to recast. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1435. 1435 Chapter 331, Reforging Literary Soldiers 5. Once the reforging is successful, it will be the time to reforge. With Zhao Li's strength, if everything goes smoothly, he will be able to complete the reforging within 3 days. After 3 days, he will be able to start the reforging. Everyone stared at it intently. Although they couldn't see anything, every time they saw the golden patterns disappear or tremble, they would be shocked. This was the process of the birth of the sun and moon in the world of weapon forging. Earth rank was similar to the sun and moon, regardless of strength. Once Zhao Li succeeded, it meant that the great Xia Manor had an earth rank weapon forging master. In the future, there would be people who could forge weapons for the mountains, seas, and the sun and moon. Of course, it was hard to say if Zhao Li would help with the forging. In the distance, Xia Huyo and the others were also watching. They were all young people. Someone lamented, Cui Lang is so lucky. The earth-grade weapon is still in the embryonic form of a heaven-grade weapon. He actually dragged him along. This guy is not a good person. How can anyone have connections with him? Why does Master Zhao Li like this guy? This guy is so reckless. This time, he has made a big fuss. Be careful that Elder Cheng of the Great Tang Mansion will come looking for him. It's best to catch him and bring him back to the Great Tang Mansion. Ha ha ha, it's really possible. This guy has made a big fuss this time. Everyone knows that Cui Lang is helping Master Zhao Li forge weapons. If he succeeds, he can become a high-level or even a top-level mystic rank. I suspect that the Tang Mansion knows about this and will have to ask Old Cheng to come out of seclusion and bring him to the Tang Mansion. Didn't you see that people from the Daming Mansion have come? Senior Hu is a medium-level earth-rank weapon forging master and the head of the Wang Mansion. He is also a powerhouse in the Sun-Moon realm. 2 of them came at once. They are probably afraid that the person will be intercepted. Their mouths were dry, and Xia Huyo rubbed his chin. Cui Lang. He knew this person. This fellow. Why did Zhao Li Laoshi place so much importance on him? How rare. It was already rare for Zhao Laoshi to meet him. With Zhao Li's temper, who didn't know that he had someone to protect him? Furthermore, his identity was extraordinary. Otherwise, he would have been beaten up by others. Cui Lang, this time, he really succeeded. Perhaps, we can rope him in and join the Great Xia Manor. I wonder if he is familiar with that fellow, Su Yu. On the other side. On the roof of the Wen Tan Research Center, Hong Tan and Bai Feng were both there. Bai Feng crossed his arms and looked over. He asked curiously, Master, what the hell is old Zhao doing? He found an outsider to forge a weapon, but he didn't find his disciple. After saying that, he said with some jealousy, old Zhao's temper is really unbearable. Master, he passed on the God-expanding technique to that kid Su Yu, but he didn't even pass it on to me. Am I that bad? There was no justice. In the past, the God-expanding technique wasn't very famous. Of course, it was somewhat famous in the world of weapon forging. But ever since Su Yu used this hammer to kill Zhou Pingsheng and cripple Shan Xiong, it was useless even for a literary soldier. Everyone knew that this thing was an extremely powerful offensive divine skill. There weren't many godly skills to begin with, and this kind of godly skill that had an extremely strong offensive ability and didn't require too much godly writing and godly apertures was even harder to come by. Nowadays, there were many people who coveted the God-expanding spell. However, old Zhao had a bad temper and didn't want to spread it out. Since Su Yu's side wasn't his, there was a high probability that he wouldn't spread it out. This made many civilized masters sigh. Hong Tan smiled and said, "It's not a bad thing not to spread it out to you. Your talent isn't good, so how long will it take you to advance to Ling Yun?" "My talent isn't good?" Bai Feng was depressed. At this moment, he saw a fellow running over and couldn't be bothered with him. His little cousin, a very bored fellow, couldn't be bothered with him. He continued to speak to Hong Tan, "Master, what about brother Feng Qi's matter? Are we not going to care about it? There's a high probability that he's fine. The one who's in trouble, isn't him." Bai Feng was silent for a moment before nodding, "I know. It's good to delay for a few days now. Even if we really find out, senior brother can run a little further. It's best if you run to the heavenly battlefield and find a small world to hide." Hong Tan smiled faintly and said, "It's fine. Don't worry too much. It might not be related to your senior brother. Even if it really is related." Hong Tan calmed down for a moment and said indifferently, "That has nothing to do with us." Bai Feng said gloomily, "Master, is there no other way but to endure? Protect yourself first." Hong Tan said calmly, "Isn't he still alive? He's not dead. You fellow, if you had entered the Lingyun Mountains and seas earlier, I wouldn't have so many worries. You're just a piece of trash, yet you're still in the air, your disciple is almost surpassing you. Perhaps he has already surpassed you." Bai Feng said faintly, "With that divine aperture of his willpower has reached a certain level. He's Lingyun. Master, what can I do? I'm also very helpless. It hasn't even been a year since he entered the school. You can compare me to him. You can try comparing yourself to him." With a bang, Hong Tan kicked him away. F*CKU. I said a few words to you, and you even dared to talk back to your teacher. Ignoring Bai Feng, he glanced at Zhao Li once more and muttered in his heart, could it be that old Zhao chose to forge weapons now to buy time for Chen Yong? If that was the case, he would owe him a huge favor. Thinking about it, he felt a little helpless. Perhaps, it was better to let Su Yu join the weapon forging department in the past. Bai Feng, that brat, accepted Su Yu like a tiger. Senior brother probably didn't expect Su Yu to rise so quickly back then. Now, it was hard to get off the tiger. He shook his head slightly, hoping that old Zhao would succeed. He turned his head to look at the city lord's manor. He saw some sights that others couldn't see. In the air, there were a few majestic figures that ordinary people couldn't even see. "The three of you are invincible. This disciple of mine is really good." Hong Tan smiled. Actually, it wasn't bad. Killing some enemies of the mountains and seas was pretty good, but that was on the premise that little Yong could run away. Looking around the city, he could see the sun and moon shining everywhere. Hong Tan grinned. Seriously, were they all here to watch the show? What was there to see? They might even lose their lives. They probably wish they could nail little Yong to death. It doesn't matter if it's a public trial. You can tell whether he's a human or a ghost. Hong Tan laughed scornfully and disappeared. Below him, Bai Feng kicked Bai Junqing away and quickly left. What was the Bai family meddling in? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1436. 1436 Chapter 332, 9 Castes of the Physical Body 1. The Great Xia Civilization Academy was in an uproar. Zhao Li cast the embryonic form of a heavenly weapon and even suppressed the matter of Feng Qi. To the Great Xia Academy, Zhao Li's success was much better than the birth of a sun and moon. There were still some sun and moon in the Great Xia Academy, and there was only one earth-rank weapon forging master. It was truly miserable. In the air. At this moment, the golden patterns on that huge hammer were becoming fewer and fewer. On the first day, the number of golden patterns decreased to 50. On the second day, the number of golden patterns decreased to 25. On the third day, the number of golden patterns continued to decrease. The recasting was almost complete. Being able to complete the recasting meant that Zhao Li already had the ability to become an Earth-rank civilized master. Even Hu Qi and Old Chen, who were at the middle tier of the Earth rank. I cannot guarantee that I will be able to cast an Earth soldier. At the Institute. Su Yu face white, some anxious, quiet down. At this moment, he forged a few days in a row, casting a golden pattern of 54 Wen Bing, has achieved the pinnacle of the Xian level, but the Xian level high, or a little less. Zhao Li is also full of sweat at this moment, regardless of speed. For 3 consecutive days, he continued to forge, and the pressure was also very great. After 3 days, he was about to complete the forging. At this moment, Zhao Li was about to complete the last few golden patterns and he shouted in a low voice, "Don't forge any more weapons. Later, you see, from the beginning to the end, I will reforge the civil weapon. You see it from the beginning. When I need your help, you will come and help." Teacher. Su Yu was a little dejected. He even regretted that he had come. I haven't reached the high level of the mystic rank yet. Shut up. Zhao Li shouted angrily, I told you to see my weapon, not to see your weapon. Kid, I'm warning you. Watch carefully. I will cast one for you from the beginning to the end. If you are distracted, don't blame me for being rude to you. Su Yu didn't say anything. He nodded. He would watch carefully. The two of them had similar forging paths. If Su Yu was lucky, he would be able to forge his own earth weapon soon. At this moment, Zhao Li shouted. Boom! With a loud sound, the last golden pattern on the huge hammer disappeared. A power spread out and swept in all directions. The power of the weapon dissipated. From quasi-earth rank, it dropped to no rank. At this moment, the hammer returned to its initial state. It meant that the literary soldier that Zhao Li had forged decades ago had paid a price of 0, leaving only an embryo. Zhao Li took a deep breath and quickly began to recover his strength. After it dissipates its power, I'll immediately start casting. In its initial state, I'll start casting the weapon. You have to watch carefully. Strength, temperature, casting technique, casting process, the divine runes between you and me are different. We don't have to completely copy them, but they are still the same. You have a greater advantage than me. Your divine runes are more suitable for casting weapons. Your 5 elements divine runes are more suitable for casting weapons. Your divine runes are all human. The divine runes of the same race also have an advantage in casting. Su Yu, what you lack is experience and strength. I will teach you the forging technique. Zhao Li narrated and said a lot. Su Yu listened quietly and memorized everything. After about half an hour, the giant hammer stopped emitting power. A giant hammer appeared in Zhao Li's hand. He took a deep breath and said, in the beginning, you can't break it. If you break it, the weapon will break, and then the weapon will bite you, that will be a big problem. Take a good look. I can probably forge about 72 streaks, but after you forge 54 streaks, you can start. Help me forge. Su Yu nodded. Zhao Li said again, when you help me, find the right time. Kid, it will take a long time. You might not be able to hold on. I can do it. Su Yu quickly said, I'll recover now. When you forge 54 streaks, I'll probably be able to recover completely. There was still one more thing that he didn't mention. He really hadn't recovered completely, he really couldn't hold on any longer, his father shattered the divine runes to absorb the power of will. He still had 2 sun and moon divine runes with him, and they were hidden in his storage ring. At worst, he could just shatter the divine runes. What was there to be afraid of? The sun and moon divine runes were valuable, but it wasn't like he hadn't done it before. At worst, he could just kill a few more sun-moon divine runes in the future. Zhao Li naturally didn't know what he was thinking. He also didn't expect this kid to have the sun-moon divine runes with him. He also didn't expect this guy to have the intention of breaking the divine runes to recover his willpower. If he knew, he would probably have to beat him to death. *CK, it wouldn't be such a waste. Many sun-moon stage civilized masters actually only had one sun-moon divine runes. There might be a few stronger ones. It was also difficult to peel it off. After killing several sun-moon realm civilized masters, he had only managed to peel off 3 sun-moon divine texts. If it wasn't for the power of a great mansion, so you wouldn't have been able to get so many sun-moon divine texts. Zhao Li didn't think too much about it. It was already difficult to recover his willpower. At this moment, he began to officially forge it. Flames rose. Zhao Li's long hair danced in the wind. His white hair fluttered in the wind. He wore shorts, and his muscles were extremely full. At this moment, the old man transformed into a muscular man and smashed down with his hammer. Sonic boom. This hammer strike was much more powerful than Su Yu's. With a loud bang, a huge vibration came from the research institute's wall. However, Su Yu did not feel much of it. The small hammer in his hand was experiencing this kind of vibration at this moment. It was also shaking Su Yu's entire body and his sea of consciousness. Su Yu felt numb and very comfortable. Zhao Li said in a low voice, "You can cast your body now and look at it as you cast your body. I'll slow down in front of you and you can feel the rhythm of my vibration. After that, you can participate in it and maintain the same rhythm as me." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1437. 1437 Chapter 332, 9 Casts of the Physical Body 2. Yes. Su Yu nodded and began to release his Heaven Yuan Qi to cast the body. This time, he had brought nearly 300 Heaven Yuan fruits. He had used up some of them previously, but now, there were still many left. Su Yu began to absorb them and activated the primordial spirit vitality art. Puffing sounds could be heard. Zhao Li was stunned for a moment. Something nearly went wrong, and he could not help but curse, "I let you cultivate, I didn't let you fart." Su Yu said awkwardly, "Teacher, please continue. I'm not faking, this is the heaven connecting aperture. This cultivation technique can maintain the strength of the body and extend one's lifespan. It can also be used to stimulate and absorb Heaven Yuan Qi. It's an extremely powerful cultivation technique." Old Zhao's state of mind was about to collapse. "I'm forging a weapon, and you're faking. Are you messing with me?" He was somewhat speechless. After a long while, he said, "I won't be using this Yuan Qi mystic realm in the future. It's been contaminated by you." Su Yu laughed dryly. What he said and what he spat out might be purer than this Yuan Qi. What I absorbed was Heaven Yuan Qi, and what I spat out was not inferior to Yuan Qi. Was old Zhao thinking too much? He did not care anymore. This way, his cultivation speed would be much faster. He wanted to see if he could take the opportunity to cast 9. Zhao Li no longer cared about him. He continued to hammer and vibrate. Su Yu's small hammer felt the vibrations, and the vibrations washed over his body, including his sea of consciousness. And at that moment, in the outside world, one could faintly hear the sounds of hammering. It was very rhythmic. And at that moment, Hu Qi and Old Chen looked at each other. In the next moment, Old Chen's voice was loud. He shouted, "Everyone, calm down and cultivate cross-legged. Feel the vibrations of the rhythm. This is an Earth-rank weapon forging master using his ultimate technique to cleanse everyone's body and purify their seas of consciousness. Such opportunities weren't always available. Of course, even though they were separated by the mystic realm, it was already very weak. The one who benefited the most was still Cui Lang. It was unknown whether Zhao Li had to do this or did it on purpose. Old Chen couldn't be bothered to guess. At this moment, countless students sat down cross-legged and felt the weak sound waves. Some of their acupoints began to loosen up, and they felt that it was easier to open them. Dong! Dong! One sound after another, with an extremely regular pattern, reverberated through the world. At this moment, golden patterns gradually appeared on the floating literary soldier. The city lord's manor. After watching for a few days, at this moment, the unrivaled experts saw something. The Dark Han King said softly, "What a big move. This fellow should have long possessed the ability of the Earth rank. He isn't even considered a beginner. He is going for the Heaven rank. It's a pity that Tianzhu didn't come. Otherwise, I feel that Tianzhu and he might have some common ground." At this moment, the few of them were in the main hall. However, if one looked over, the secret realm seemed to be in the main hall as well. It was as if they had crossed space and were in the sky above the Great Xia Civilization Academy. However, they were actually in the city lord's manor. The few invincible ones looked down as if they were observing the scene. The Earth rank wasn't considered bad. Of course, to the invincible ones, the Heaven rank was considered the same rank. The Earth rank was only comparable to the Sun and Moon. Their status was still inferior. At this moment, someone outside the hall smiled and said, "Greetings, elders." The great Han King smiled and said, "Tianbing, you came quickly." The Silkworm Exterminating King also laughed and said, "Little Zhao, your junior brother doesn't seem to be weaker than you. Your master is indeed worthy of being able to compete with Tianzhu in the Tao debate." Including the great Song King, they also exchanged a few pleasantries. Outside the door was Zhao Tianbing, who had just arrived. He was heading straight for this place. He was heading straight for invincibility. Having entered the Sun and Moon not long ago, he did not have the qualifications to receive the courtesy of invincibility. However, he was a top-notch weapon-forging grandmaster in the human realm who was the closest to a Heaven-rank weapon-forging grandmaster. The few invincibility experts still wanted to wait for this fellow to enter the Heaven rank to give them something. Zhao Tianbing stepped into the main hall and felt as if he was there. He looked down at the entire Great Xia Academy of Civilization and also saw the Yuan Qi mystic realm and heard the hammering sounds. After entering the main hall, Zhao Tianbing took a look and felt it for a moment. He said directly, "Elders, my junior brother is messing around. Once he fails, the literary weapon will shatter and the divine text will be heavily damaged." Tianbing came here to pay his respects to the elders in the hope that the elders can make a move when he fails and separate the literary weapon from the divine text. The great Han King said with a smile, "You don't think highly of it?" Zhao Tianbing said helplessly, "It's not that I don't think so. It's just that my junior brother is not strong enough now and can't forge so many inscriptions. If he only wants to forge an Earth-grade weapon, then he can definitely succeed. He wants to forge the embryonic form of the Heaven-grade weapon and forge dozens of golden inscriptions. The further he goes, the harder it will be. The probability of failure is too high. He has Cui Lang's help." Zhao Tianbing was speechless. That Cui Lang, no matter how talented he is, it will be hard for him to help my junior brother. I don't know what my junior brother is thinking, but he actually asked an outsider for help at this moment, and it's just a mystic rank weapon forging master. If I had known earlier, I would have had a greater chance to help him succeed. The great Han King smiled, "All right, if your junior brother really fails, we will take action. Many thanks to the elders." Zhao Tianbing bowed to express his gratitude. Lord Xiaoho chuckled and said, "Brother Tianbing, sit down and have a chat." We will look the same from here. This is to prevent old Zhao from sensing you the moment you go over there. If he finds out and explodes in anger, it wouldn't be good if you are unable to forge weapons. Zhao Tianbing ignored him. Lord Xiahou laughed and said, Brother Tianbing, am I right? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1438. 1438 Chapter 332, 9 Castes of the Physical Body 3. Zhao Tianbing snorted and said indifferently, if it wasn't for the fact that the great Xia Manor didn't value the weapon forging branch, why would I have left? Falling out with my junior brother was also done by your great Xia Manor. Now, you still have the nerve to make sarcastic remarks. Lord Xia said helplessly, what do you mean by saying that we don't value it? You're thinking too much. If you insist on opening the weapon forging academy alone, wouldn't that cost money? Where would the great Xia Manor get the money to reopen the academy? Zhao Tianbing couldn't be bothered with him. He wasn't afraid of Xia Shaoer either. Even in the great Zhou Manor, he was still a distinguished guest of the manor head. He had been in the great Zhou Manor for dozens of years. Now that he had opened the weapon forging academy, he had brought along earth-grade weapon forging masters among his disciples, the kind that had just entered. In the world of weapon forging, he had the highest status apart from the Heaven Caste King. Of course, his strength couldn't be compared to that. Sun Moon Realm, just entered, too weak. Will old Zhao succeed this time? Is there no hope at all? Lord Xiahou was still looking forward to it. He hoped that he could succeed, but Zhao Li would not leave. He could not bear to leave the Great Xia Civilization Academy. After all, his father had worked hard here all his life. Zhao Tianbing said in a deep voice, 30-70, 30% chance, 70% chance of failure. Even if he succeeds, it depends on the situation. It might not be as my junior brother wishes. Lord Xiahou nodded slightly and smiled, Brother Tianbing, since you're back this time, why don't you not leave? Zhao Tianbing couldn't be bothered with him. He wouldn't do it. The great Xia Manor was now a quagmire. He still wanted to bring his junior brother away. Forget it, the great Zhou Manor was about to arrive. That brat Suyu had screwed the great Zhou Manor quite badly last time. Of course, he couldn't be bothered to get involved in this. Suyu and his junior brother had a close relationship. Over at the great Zhou Manor, Zhou Polong and the Zhou Patian brothers treated him quite courteously, so he didn't want to get involved. Geniuses could be eaten anywhere. When he arrived at the great Zhou Manor, the great Zhou Kingdom had personally received him a few times. In the great hall, the 5 people were all paying attention to the mystic realm. No one mentioned Feng Qi. The 3 invincible experts did not want to bring it up, but Zhao Tianbing did not think about it at all. Dong dong dong. One sound after another, time after time. The aura of the scholars and soldiers gradually grew stronger. Golden patterns appeared one after another. As for Su Yu, his body was constantly being cleansed by the tremors. His absorption of the heaven yuan qi was even faster. He stared unblinkingly. At this moment, Zhao Li had already cast 18 golden patterns. The first part was easy, but the second part was difficult. This was just the beginning. At this moment it was already the late night of the 27th. Su Yu did not care about all this. He continued to watch as his willpower gradually recovered to its peak. The flame of heritage was constantly burning. He was comprehending and observing. The more he watched, the more shocked he became. Dong! Following an extremely regular hammer strike, Su Yu's face was filled with shock. This wasn't a hammer. Only at this moment did he see clearly, no, he felt it clearly. 108 hammers. Zhao Li's hammer instantly trembled 108 times. This was actually 108 hammers. Stacking hammers. At this moment, Suyu understood and his mouth opened wide. He thought that he was actually very close to Zhao, but only at this moment did he understand. F*CK, what the F*CK am I? Old Zhao is really a mystic rank weapon forging master. This is a mystic rank weapon forging master. He looked at it for a long time until the flame of inheritance burned. Only then did he vaguely feel something. This isn't a hammer, but I actually only realized it now. It's been many days. Zhao Li also heard his mumbling and laughed. Not bad, you've finally recognized it. Very good. This meant that Suyu's comprehension had increased a little. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to hear it. Including the outside world, there weren't many people who could really hear it. If they weren't powerful, they would either be top-tier blacksmiths. He was now at Earth rank. Many years ago, he had actually been. It was just that his strength wasn't strong enough. Without the main god text, he wouldn't be able to forge an Earth rank literary soldier. But whether it was experience, technique, or consciousness, he was still at Earth rank. It was just that this Earth soldier hadn't been forged successfully. He did not have the ability and energy to forge other Earth rank scribes. Suyu was shocked, but he did not care much. He waved the small hammer, wanting to copy it. 108 hammers in an instant. Even he had to listen for a few days before he could tell how strong this was. Stack. With a single hammer, it would not be a problem to kill someone stronger than him. This was a godly skill, a deeper level of usage of the god-expanding hammer. Suyu felt the rhythm and fluctuations. He began to learn and experiment. Buzz, buzz, he swung the hammer, but it still made a sound. One sound was another sound, and it couldn't be stacked. Suyu didn't give up. He continued to swing the hammer, again and again. Zhao Li smiled. With a single strike, a vibration was emitted, bringing with it a trace of traction. It pulled on Suyu's small hammer. The big hammer and the small hammer resonated, and Suyu gradually grasped the rhythm. Buzz buzz. The two hammers were still divided into two sounds, but the second sound was somewhat indiscernible. Zhao Li struck while pulling on Suyu. He did not say anything, allowing Suyu to silently experience this feeling. If Suyu had not discovered it until now, he would not have specially taught him how to stack them. It was too deliberate. In Zhao Li's view, it was not a good thing. You can hear it. I will only teach you when I have an epiphany. In the academy. Hammer after hammer sounds could be heard. Old Chen muttered, this Zhao Li, is he preparing to take in disciples again? He felt it. He felt it. Zhao Li's hammer sounds contained some hints. Of course, it was difficult to understand if they weren't in the same profession. He looked at Hu Qi, who smiled faintly and said, Cui Lang is very talented. If Zhao Li really has ideas, it's not impossible for Cui Lang to acknowledge him as his master. He's just old Niu's in-name disciple. There's no problem for him to acknowledge him as his master. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1439. 1439 Chapter 332, 9 Castes of the Body 4. No, what I mean is, Zhao Li has a weird temper. This Cui Lang, why does he suit his taste? The others were also listening, and they could roughly understand what he meant. Zhao Li seemed to be teaching Cui Lang the casting technique. As for how they could figure it out, it was too profound, and they didn't understand. Hu Qi smiled and said, then I don't know. Maybe Cui Lang's personality is likable. Elder Chen was speechless. He thought for a moment and said, how much did Elder Hu hear? Hu Qi chuckled and said, 144, how about you? 138, it seems like I didn't hear everything. As he said that, Elder Chen looked at his disciple beside him and said calmly, how much did you hear? His disciple, a middle-aged man, was silent for a moment before saying in a low voice, 108. Elder Chen frowned and looked at senior brother Wang. He said, "Little Wang, what about you?" Senior brother Wang smiled foolishly and said, 122. I've heard it since I was young and I've heard it for decades, so I've heard a little more. Elder Chen nodded, Your master, if you really want to talk about forging weapons, he was actually a little stronger than me in the past. Now. It's actually about the same. 144, which is equivalent to the peak of the heaven rank. Elder who is stronger than me. I've heard everything. Your master's success this time might be even stronger than mine. Senior brother Wang didn't say anything. He didn't dare to say anything. The others were at a loss. What did he mean? At this moment, a large number of Earth, Mystic, and Yellow Tier weapon forging masters had gathered here. There was no reaction from the Yellow Tier, and there was almost no reaction from the Mystic Tier. Only some of the High and Pinnacle Mystic Tier. They vaguely understood some of it. Their gains were even greater as they felt the tremors. Others had heard one sound, but others had heard dozens. At the same time. Zhao Tianbing was also surprised, Xiao Er Xia, cough cough, I said it wrong. I'm sorry, Deputy Mansion Master Xia, can you give me a copy of Cui Lang's information? My junior brother seems to be interested in taking in a disciple, and even wants to teach him the spirit-expanding art. Who is this Cui Lang? Lord Xia Ho was also extremely powerful. At this moment, he glared at him and casually tossed him a jade talisman. Frowning slightly, he said, Zhao Tianbing, how many times have you heard? Your junior brother. His strength is average, but his weapon forging techniques are top-notch. Of course. Zhao Tianbing said with a faint smile, in the past, when my master was still alive, he said that junior brother's talent was extraordinary. It wasn't because he was his son, but because he was indeed very talented and stronger than me. Not long after my master taught him, he died in the Battle of the Heavens battlefield. My junior brother learned from me. He cast yellow rank weapons at the age of 18, peak of yellow rank at the age of 20, mystic rank weapons at the age of 28, and peak of mystic rank at the age of 45. Sigh. He sighed. There was an indescribable regret. He cast mystic rank weapons at the age of 45, but for the rest of his life, his junior brother had gone to study other damn things. After his master died, he didn't have much time to care about it. After that, Zhao Li started to create the expanding spirit technique. He had spent decades on this cultivation technique. After that, he went on to go down the wrong path and cast the man-soldier combination technique. This was not an orthodox forging technique. Otherwise, his junior brother would have long reached the earth grade. What a pity. Zhao Tianbing did not think about this anymore. He smiled and said, after casting the weapon 180 times and stacking it together, junior brother has made progress. In the past, when he cast the earth weapon, he could only stack it 144 times. This time, he is even stronger. The great Han King and the others also laughed. The silkworm exterminating king laughed and said, It's better to know your peers. I've heard of it 180 times, but I didn't expect it to be weapon forging. I was thinking, if I can stack time 180 times, would I be able to kick the dragon silkworm king back to ancient times? Zhao Tianbing laughed and said, Lord Silkworm exterminating king, you must be joking. It's just a small matter. His strength is weak, so it's easy to stack. If he really reached the invincible realm, not to mention invincible, even I wouldn't be able to stack it up to 180 times. I can only stack it up to 144 times, which is my limit. The main thing is that I don't know the soul-expanding art. Of course, the weapon forging methods are similar. Soul-expanding technique. The great Song King said, it's a very powerful technique, but the threshold is a little high. If he can stack it so many times and use it in battle, Zhao Li. I think he should be able to fight anyone below 3rd level of the mountain and sea realm. Zhao Li was only at 7th level of the Ling Yun realm. The unrivaled experts praised his technique. The Dark Han King suddenly said, I wonder how much of the true inheritance Su Yu from the Daming Mansion has obtained. I've seen the footage of him fighting with Dan Xiong previously, but it's still at the primary stage. I also thought that the God-expanding technique was just a divine skill with a decent effect. After experiencing it today, Su Yu probably didn't understand the true meaning of it. He was just short of saying that it would bring shame to the name of the God-expanding technique. He had seen it before and didn't pay too much attention to it. However, after listening to it today, he felt that this cultivation technique was really not bad. It wasn't inferior to some heaven-tier divine skills, but was incomparably exquisite. At this moment, Su Yu didn't think too much about it. He only heard it 108 times. And it was close to him. He was still lacking in the art of weapon forging. He wasn't as good as those veteran high-tier profound ranks, but with the guidance of a master teacher, he wasn't inferior to those middle-tier profound ranks. At this moment, Su Yu was trying to stack his weapons. Once, twice, thrice. He tried and began to learn the basics. The moment he learned the basics of this weapon, the difficulty was greatly reduced. A few hours later, Su Yu struck out with his hammer, and a series of 9 consecutive humming sounds could be heard. At this moment, Zhao Li was smiling as well. He said, if you practice it a little, you should be able to stack it 9 times. Your talent is indeed great. I can't compare to teacher. The gap is too big. Teacher can stack it 108 times at once, but I can only stack it 9 times. Moreover, it's very difficult to do it silently. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1440. 1440 Chapter 332, 9 Casts of the Body 5. Su Yu shook his head, but Zhao Li did not explain. He smiled and continued to forge. 108 times. That was not bad. However, it was still the same as before. Did you hear it? Of course, one could really hear it. If one listened to it completely, it would be difficult to hear it in the outside world. After being weakened by the mystic realm, it would be difficult to hear it without a high-level earth rank or even a peak. In the blink of an eye, it was the 28th. As for Zhao Li, he was also slightly exhausted. At this moment, he had forged 36 inscriptions. Find an entry point and join in. Su Yu had long been focused. When he heard this, he didn't hesitate and didn't take his eyes off it. He used the fire word inheritance divine text to the extreme, and the calm word divine text kept on vibrating. In the next moment, he held a hammer and flew up. The hammer smashed down. Dang! Dong! 2 sounds rang out at the same time. Zhao Li shouted, follow my rhythm and forge together. Don't mess around. Understood. Su Yu shouted in a low voice and quickly followed Zhao Li's rhythm. The two of them started forging at the same time. At this moment, in the outside world, there were only a few Earth-grade weapon forging divisions and some Sun and Moon experts that were slightly different. It was no longer just one person. This time, it was 2 people. Both of them were forging. The voice was slightly different, but the others did not notice it. Hu Qi's gaze changed, and Elder Chen once again muttered to himself, Cui Lang, he's at the high level of the Xian grade. When these words were said, the surrounding people were shocked. You knew about this too? How did you know? Elder Chen did not explain and did not want to say. He was a little surprised and a little regretful. If it was not someone from the Great Xia Mansion, the Great Xia Mansion did not seem to have many geniuses in the weapon forging Dao. Why did another genius appear in the Great Ming Mansion? Su Yu had also run away. Now, Cui Lang had appeared in the weapon forging Dao. In the main hall. Zhao Tianbing was also surprised. This Cui Lang's skill is not bad. To be able to keep up with my junior brother's pace, he should have the strength of a high-level mystic rank. I've never heard of this person before. The king of the great song laughed and said, I've heard of him once. It's not because of the casting of weapons, but because of the Tang Empire. Cheng Yimou chased after him a few times. That kid once ran to our great song mansion, so I've only heard about him. Cheng Yimou. The king of the great Han laughed and said, has Cheng Yimou come out of seclusion? No, it's a bit difficult for old Cheng to prove it. The king of the great song said regretfully, he lacks an invincible relic. Otherwise, there's still hope for old Cheng. A figure of an era. The silkworm exterminating king laughed and said, Cheng Yimou is shameless. He even chased after a child. Isn't he afraid of losing face? The great Han king and the great Song king couldn't be bothered with him. Did he want face? If he wanted face, he wouldn't have fought with the dragon silkworm king for hundreds of years. Since he couldn't beat him to death, what was the point of fighting every day? After chatting for a while, they didn't pay much attention to Cui Lang. High-level mystic rank wasn't bad, but nowadays, there were many geniuses. Su Yu, Dan Xiong, Qin Fang, Huang Teng, who wasn't a genius? They were all frighteningly young. Cui Lang was 35 years old and had reached advanced mystic rank. He was worthy of being nurtured. No matter how amazing he was, it was not to the extent where he would be even more amazing when he reached Earth rank. In the Yuan Qi mystic realm. At this moment, after joining the casting, Su Yu felt the difficulty and caught up with the rhythm. However, the recoil was frighteningly powerful. As Su Yu cast. At the same time, he shouted, Teacher, why does your physical body feel stronger than mine? Don't you panic from the shock? Neutralize it. Furthermore, my physical body is stronger than yours. Shouldn't it be? Zhao Li was speechless. It shouldn't be. Su Yu trembled from the shock. My physical body is very strong. The explosive force of 4,000 apertures is too strong. Teacher. Are you stronger than me? Aren't you a civilized master? Since your physical body is Ling Yun's, that should be it. You, speak. Don't tremble. Why are you trembling? You tremble. I'll tremble along with you. Zhao Li was trembling a little under his guidance. After recovering for a moment, Zhao Li quickly said, my explosive strength is around 8,000 apertures. Are you going to compete with me? Is that so powerful? Do you think that you are the only genius? No. Stop chatting. Shut up and focus. Zhao Li cursed. Damn it, it seems like you still have a lot of energy left. To think that you have the mood to chat with me. It seems like you haven't suffered much. After a while, Su Yu suddenly trembled and said, Old teacher. What are you doing now? I'm going to withdraw for a while. I'm going to cast my body 9 times. F***ck. Zhao Li cursed, are you a masochist? After shocking you for half a day, you're going to advance. F***ck, fine, go ahead. This kid is really good. After casting his body for a while, his physical body was going to advance. At the next moment, Su Yu stopped and quickly ran to the side. He began to devour a large amount of heaven origin qi. Zhao Li's eyes were red with envy. Where did this kid get so much heaven origin qi? As if it was free, he started to devour it again. The most important thing was that this kid's body was already 90% cast. If he were to cultivate a normal cultivation technique, his body would have already entered the Lingyun realm. It was truly terrifying. As for Su Yu, his golden body flickered. Very soon, his aura erupted. He was even stronger than before. He said happily, Teacher, I'm close to 4,500 apertures of my body's strength. If I cast my body a few more times, I'll be as strong as your body. Zhao Li ignored him. I'm a civilized master, so what's the point of having a physical body? Those who are stronger than a physical body are all boors. How many times do you want to cast? It's not up to you. And when he saw Su Yu quickly absorbing the heaven yuan qi while joining the casting, he could not help but feel jealous. Why didn't I receive such treatment in the past? If I did, I would have long walked the path of a warrior. F***ck. This brat was being chased, envied, and suppressed by others. He deserved it. Who asked you to have too many good things? The jealous old Zhao began to beat even harder. As for Su Yu, he was trembling uncontrollably as he struggled to keep up with the rhythm. He said with a trembling voice, old teacher, slow down. If he continued beating so quickly, I would have been shocked to death. At this moment, there were even more golden patterns on the soldiers. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1441. 1441 Chapter 333 Heaven and Earth Reward, Battle of the Three Hammers 1. Dang! The sound of the weapon being forged continued to reverberate in all directions. In the void, above the mystic weapon, there were already 55 golden inscriptions. It was much slower than just forging 55 golden inscriptions. This was because this time, it was an earth weapon, so the requirements were even higher. And as the number of inscriptions increased, the time it took to forge became longer, and the reverberations also became louder. In the Yuan Qi mystic realm, large amounts of Yuan Qi swept over. Su Yu and Zhao Li were currently bare-chested, each holding a hammer in their hands. They were sweating profusely as they continuously hammered. The reverberations grew stronger and stronger. Even though Su Yu's body was strong, he could not withstand it any longer. It was only a mystic weapon at the moment, but the aura on that huge hammer made Su Yu feel a little repressed. This weapon was much stronger than ordinary mystic weapons. The reforging method had raised the level of this weapon. 56 golden patterns, 57 golden patterns. Su Yu wanted to vomit blood. Meanwhile, Zhao Li was also secretly shocked. This was even harder to forge than before. The recasting method caused the difficulty of forging weapons to increase once again. Glancing at Su Yu from the corner of his eye, Zhao Li felt helpless. The chances of success were not too great. 30% to 70%. 30% success, 70% failure. However, if this kid could forge 72 golden patterns along with him and experience it himself, it would not be too difficult to forge a peak mystic rank literary soldier the next time. As for earth rank, it would depend on his luck. As for Su Yu's physical body's improvement, it was nothing. In Zhao Li's opinion, Su Yu's current gain was to learn everything and remember everything. Clang! The two hammers continued to descend. Seeing that Su Yu's willpower had been greatly depleted, Zhao Li shouted, "Exchange Yuan Qi. You exchange it. I'll keep an eye on it for you. Stabilize the golden pattern." Su Yu did not say a word. As the golden pattern gradually took shape, Su Yu rapidly transformed. At the instant of the transformation, the inscriptions had a repulsive force that was forcefully resolved by Zhao Li. Su Yu changed his Yuan Qi, which was also extremely pure. He continued to forge. His Yuan Qi was much purer than ordinary soaring clouds. He had been using the pure Yuan technique all this while. In addition to absorbing a large amount of heavenly Yuan Qi and cultivating the primordial spirit vitality technique, there were very few impurities in his body. All 360 apertures were opened, and Yuan Qi burst forth. Su Yu's entire body was wrapped in heavenly Yuan Qi, and so was Zhao Li, including this literary weapon. Heaven Yuan Qi was being consumed at a very fast rate. However, how could Su Yu care about this at this moment? An earth weapon could actually be bought with tens of thousands of merit points if one had money. But now, just the materials used in Heaven Yuan Qi were worth more than that. The two of them did not care and continued forging. 61. Time passed bit by bit. At this moment it was already the 29th of May in the outside world. At this moment, 63 golden patterns appeared on the huge hammer suspended in the air. It was about to enter the peak of the mystic rank, but the majestic aura that was faintly transmitted gave people the feeling that this weapon was now an earth soldier. Outside, there were even more sun-moon tier cultivators who came. In different regions, there were different groups of people gathered. There were experts gathered, geniuses gathered, and invincible descendants gathered. In the heart cultivation pavilion area. In a large courtyard. Yuan Qing looked in the direction of Dong Chao. There were a few people who were around the same age and strength. These people also looked in Zhao Li's direction for a while. A middle-aged woman said indifferently, "Zhao Li sure knows how to choose the time. Right now, the great Xia Manor is looking at him forging weapons. A weapon forging master who hasn't even reached the earth rank is forging an earth weapon. Even Invincible is watching. What great face." Beside him, a young man with white eyebrows said with a faint smile, "Just drag it out. Drag it out. Let's just wait. What's the rush?" The great Xia Manor was dragging it out, and Zhao Li was dragging it out. The three Invincible didn't know what they were thinking, but they were also dragging it out. Dragging what out? Dragging out the time for the public trial of Feng Qi. As long as Feng Qi wasn't judged, Chen Yong couldn't be convicted on that day. At this moment, Chen Yong was a human realm pavilion elder. No one had the right to arrest him. The longer it took, the faster Chen Yong ran. Perhaps, he had already sneaked into the heavenly battlefield. The woman said unhappily, "Chen Yong killed many generals. We cannot let this matter go. If Chen Yong can escape punishment, how will we explain it to the tens of millions of soldiers? The morale of the army is unstable, and the world is in chaos." Yuan Qingdong nodded slightly. "If Chen Yong did it, it is necessary to punish Chen Yong. We must do it. Even if we are invincible, we cannot go against it." Tens of millions of soldiers were at the front line. Chen Yong had assassinated the generals. The morale of the army was unstable, and they looked down on the human realm. Once they let him go, the religion of the 10,000 races would follow suit. A huge change would happen very quickly. Morale of the army. With this saying, no one could stop him. Chen Yong must be killed. The woman smiled faintly and said, "Qing Dong, you are a lot more cautious. If Chen Yong, is Chen Yong. What else is there to be uncertain about?" Yuan Qingdong did not say anything and ignored her. When he came to the great Xia Manor, he had learned at least one thing. Before everything was decided, he had to be careful with what he said. If that was a hypothesis. It was certain. Once the evidence was insufficient and he was unable to convict Chen Yong, then he would be slandering, he would have to pay a price. For example, when he said that Su Yu had defected, he had paid a huge price for that statement. Now, he was much more cautious than before. These few days, regardless of whether it was Hong Tan or Zhao Li who contradicted him, he was still angry. He quickly suppressed his anger and quietly observed the situation. He did not rashly get involved anymore. Ignoring the few fellow Taoists beside him, Yuan Qingdong looked at the sky once again. He said, "There is a reason why Unrivaled takes this seriously. This earth weapon of Zhao Li's is unusual. There is even hope for another path. Man-made, God-made, God-written, and God-written. Once it succeeds, this earth weapon will be Zhao Li's main God-written word. With a hole in the void, Zhao Li might be able to use this opportunity to unleash power that surpasses that of the mountains and seas." You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1442 1442 Chapter 333 Heaven and Earth Reward, Battle of the Three Hammers 2. The few of them nodded slightly, but soon. The woman shook her head and said, "The probability of failure is too high. Moreover, the more golden patterns we forge now, the stronger the backlash will be if we fail. Now that we have forged 63 golden patterns, Zhao Li won't die if we fail. Once we have forged more than 72 golden patterns, the powerful backlash will definitely shatter his sea of consciousness if we fail." The few of them nodded. Indeed, as Wen Bing became stronger, so did Zhao Li's main divine text. Once his main divine text became stronger and shattered again, the backlash would be shocking. Zhao Tianbing went to the city lord's manor to beg for help from a few invincible experts. However, when that time comes, even if invincible experts make a move, it will be very difficult for them to peel off the divine text. If Zhao Li fails, he will be crippled even if he doesn't die. They were all sun and moon experts, so their eyesight was pretty good. Soon, Yuan Qingdong brought up Cui Lang. He smiled and said, "That Cui Lang is quite interesting. Zhao Li is obviously grooming him as a disciple. I think that the God-expanding technique might have been imparted to Cui Lang as well. If that's the case, there will be 3 people in the human realm who know the God-expanding technique. This God-expanding technique is very powerful." Everyone nodded again. It was indeed powerful. The foundation of the soul-expanding art was created by Zhao Li's father, a top-tier sun and moon. After that, Zhao Li perfected it. 5 generations had actually contributed to help him make some deductions and improvements. Compared to the cultivation method that Su Yu had developed, the cultivation method that Su Yu had given him was the foundation. Cultivating a powerful foundation, while the soul-expanding art was a divine skill for attacking and killing. The white-browed youth smiled and said, "Qingdong, what do you mean? Let's see if we can rope him in. If Zhao Li fails, don't count on Su Yu's side. That fellow is also very difficult to deal with. On the other hand, Cui Lang, after all, comes from a small family, so he might be able to rope him in a little. This time, his harvest isn't small. If Zhao Li fails, he might be fine. There's hope for Earth rank, and he might even be able to use the soul-expanding technique." The few of them fell into deep thought. That was true. Cui Lang. As for Niu Baidao and Cheng Mo, one was only a master in name, after all. The other did not have much to do with them. As for Cheng Mo's granddaughter, that was a matter for the younger generation. The few of them did not say anything else because at that moment, the 64th inscription took shape in the sky. And this time, as the inscription took shape, the Yuan Qi in all directions trembled and began to vibrate. Yuan Qingdong said in surprise, This is a sign of a strange phenomenon. Only when heavenly weapons are forged do strange phenomena appear. There are no earthly weapons, right? Perhaps there are powerful earthly weapons." The white-browed youth pondered for a moment and said, "Just like how humans cultivate, earthly weapons are compared to the mountains and seas, while heavenly weapons are compared to the sun and moon. An ordinary person advancing to the mountains and seas would naturally not have any strange phenomena. However, experts, geniuses, monsters, advancing to the mountains and seas would also have strange phenomena." He was talking about people like Xiaolongwu. Earth weapons could actually be considered as the mountains and seas. Of course, earth weapons did not have the intelligence of heaven weapons. The heaven weapons of the Great Ming Mansion and the 100 Dao Pavilion had very high intelligence. As auxiliary heaven weapons, they would automatically activate and have the power of the sun and moon. Of course, the 100 Dao Pavilion's level was very high. However, ordinary offensive heaven weapons, even if they were only at the initial heaven rank, actually possessed the power of the weak sun and moon. They were not much weaker than the 100 Dao Pavilion. The main reason was that the 100 Dao Pavilion's nature was not created for offensive purposes. Once there is a phenomenon, there is indeed a high chance of advancing to become a heavenly weapon. An offensive heavenly weapon. The few of them looked at the hammer. The woman's voice was faint as she said, "This is a literary weapon, not a martial weapon. An offensive heavenly literary weapon is comparable to a sun and moon. Do you think we can find someone to try forging it like this?" "Find who? Who has the ability? Forging it yourself? Are you courting death? Do you have the ability to do so?" Yuan Qingdong said indifferently, "Don't bother about Zhao Li. When Zhao Li finishes forging the soldier, everyone should keep an eye on Feng Qi during the public trial. Not everyone can forge a soldier like Zhao Li. It's different from our Dao. Are you guys proficient in forging weapons?" There was not much meaning in having designs on Zhao Li. It was truly a different Dao. So what if you were given the technique and materials? Could you forge it? Other than the divine augmentation formula, Zhao Li had nothing to covet. Even if he succeeded in forging it, it was his literary weapon. It was useless to covet it. It might not be useful even if one obtained it. The few of them did not say anything else. At the same time, in the Yuan Qi mystic realm, Suyu once again converted to willpower. He struck crazily, and his body trembled continuously. It even began to crack. The recoil was getting stronger. As this literary weapon was forged to the peak mystic rank, the recoil had already exceeded the load on Suyu's body. Suyu did not care about this. At this moment, a divine text gradually took shape. Quake. Once the Zhen word divine text appeared, the shaking power instantly decreased by 20%. Zhao Li's hand almost trembled. F***ck your grandpa, aren't you forging weapons? Aren't you forging a body? This works too. Your family's innate divine text, just by shaking you a few times, it came out. Kid. N. Suyu raised his head and continued forging. He looked at him blankly. At this time, why are you still calling me? You didn't feel the divine text. Oh. Suyu nodded. He felt it. Why? I've been shaken a few thousand times. It's almost 10,000 times. I have a slight understanding of the path of tremors. Is it strange that I've comprehended a quake word divine text? Zhao Li was speechless. In the next moment, he started forging crazily. Comparing people, there was no way to live. This time, Suyu did not feel so bad. The quake word was weakening the shock force. Moreover, the shock force was stronger, and it was also beneficial to the cultivation of the divine text. Suyu began to enjoy the shock force. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 1443. 1443 Chapter 333 Heaven and Earth Reward, Battle of the Three Hammers 3. It felt pretty good. The quake character was pretty good. After stacking the God-expanding hammer and shaking it, the power of the hammer was at least 30% stronger than before, right? Of course, the quake character was too weak, it was only at level 1. When he reached level 3, if you were to hammer it, stacking it a few times and shaking it down, wouldn't it be enough to kill a Lingyun realm civilized master? Suyu felt that his strength had improved a lot even before the weapon forging was completed. His body was forged 9 times, the divine hammer was stacked, and the word quake was written in the divine script. So this weapon forging could be done in this way. Zhao Li did not say a word. I have been forging weapons for so many years, but I have yet to comprehend the divine script. What the hell are you doing? Suyu did not care what old Zhao thought. He started to enjoy the beating. Feeling the law of the rebounding force, weakening and reducing the frequency of the vibration, the inheritance fire continued to burn. Zhao Li actually had a lot of insights. This inheritance fire divine text was also of great help to him. At this moment, his consumption wasn't as great as he had expected. It had a lot to do with this divine text. The two of them quietly began to forge. As the vibration divine text was outlined, Suyu didn't feel as bad as before. He persevered and lasted longer. More than a day had passed. It was almost 2 days. Zhao Li had been forging weapons for close to 5 days without a break. This kind of consumption was enough to make normal mountains and seas kneel. Zhao Li wasn't bragging about how long it would last. In the outside world, the cultivators were also filled with admiration. The forging sound lasted for 5 days. Was this still a human? Is Master Zhao really just Ling Yun? Some people suspected that you could forge weapons at the Ling Yun realm for 5 days in a row. Even if you didn't know how much energy was needed to forge weapons, you wouldn't be able to withstand 5 days of continuous bursts of yuan qi and willpower, right? Many people were shocked and filled with admiration. All the earth-rank weapon forging masters weren't thinking about Zhao Li, but Cui Lang. Cui Lang got the inheritance of the God-expanding technique, right? Maybe he has already advanced to Ling Yun. Old Zhao has encountered a treasure. Cui Lang has been forging with him for a day, but he can still persist. Maybe he took some heavenly treasure. The few earth-rank weapon forging masters discussed in secret. It was necessary for Zhao Li to persist. Back then, his father had fought with the enemy in the heavenly battlefield for 3 days. Zhao Li lasted longer than his father mainly because of the God-expanding technique. However, Cui Lang was able to last for a day and still keep up with the pace. This wasn't simple. Perhaps he had already officially stepped into Ling Yun's level and had received some of the essence of the God-expanding technique. Perhaps he could only last for a long time after consuming some natural treasures. In the crowd, Hu Qi said calmly, "It's normal for Cui Lang to be able to last until now. Although he hasn't cultivated the God-expanding technique before, he has learned my heaven-casting technique before. Other than this God-expanding technique, the heaven-casting technique of my lineage isn't inferior to any other casting techniques." When everyone heard this, they nodded slightly. Someone laughed and said, "So senior who has taught the heaven-casting technique before? Then, it's no wonder. This Cui Lang has good fortune and obtained the inheritance of senior's lineage. Now that he has also obtained the inheritance of old Zhao's lineage, I think there's really hope for him to advance to Earth rank. He might advance to Earth rank very soon. How envious." At this moment, even the Earth rank weapon forging masters were extremely envious. To be able to pick the strengths of both clans and obtain secret importation techniques, it wasn't simple at all. One could learn the basic forging techniques, but there were some unique techniques that would rarely be imparted unless one was master and disciple. Hu Qi smiled faintly and said, "Cui Lang's talent in weapon forging is good, so it's only right for him to impart his skills. It's a pity that Senior Tianzhu Wang hasn't appeared for a long time. Otherwise, if you were to come and take a look, he might take Cui Lang in as his disciple." Tianzhu Wang. Sigh, only Daming Manor has obtained some inheritances. People like us don't have the opportunity to receive guidance from Lord Tianzhu Wang. Hu Qi's lineage, or rather, the lineage of Daming Manor, had quite a number of Earth-rank weapon forging masters. The main contribution was the 100 Dao Pavilion, and the weapon forging techniques within the 100 Dao Pavilion originated from Tianzhu Wang. In other words, the lineage of weapon forging masters of Daming Manor could be considered the inheritance of the Tianzhu king. Of course, in Zhao Li's mouth, that was an assembly line production. He didn't think much of it. Of course, the one he didn't think much of wasn't the Tianzhu king. The Tianzhu king was the founder, but the later ones, old Zhao felt that they were all assembly line products and weren't that good. He didn't have his own thinking and creativity. While they were discussing, the number of inscriptions in the air reached 68. At this moment, Suyu was once again shocked into a daze. His body continued to crack. The heaven Yuan Qi was crazily absorbed by him, but it was still difficult to repair his body. Zhao Li said in a deep voice, cast to 72, then retreat. The recoil behind is even stronger. Although your divine runes are good, and your body isn't weak, it's still a little lacking. I understand. Retreat, I will not retreat. I still have my methods. I still have the Sun-Moon divine runes to shatter. I want to absorb the remnant of the divine runes to allow my shock divine runes to advance. Once I advance, the shock force will be weakened again. As for my physical body, once I cast it again, it will reach 10 times. Then my physical body will be even stronger. Hold on. What is this? I, Su Yu, am still afraid of this. The vibration of willpower, the vibration of the sea of willpower, isn't it just like the dreams of the past? Every time I was killed in a dream, I felt even more painful than now. I haven't experienced this kind of pain for a long time, and I'm still not used to it.